Previously on Anachronology.
Wow.
Yeah.
A little bleak.
That's why we play the game, folks.
I would just save his mustache. I would keep it encapsulated in like a case somewhere.
The Anachronauts. They travel through time by downloading history to their brains and archive the past in order to save the future. With their trusty brain download computer, the Epic Traversier, they randomly visit the past year after year. Join them as they embark on their next adventure. Prepare yourself for Anachronology.
Welcome back, everybody. So good to see you. Hey, Tom and Clay coming at you. Anachronauts in the house. First, before we start today's episode, I just want to give a little love to you watching right now, the fans. You guys have been fantastic, literally, no pun intended. Really appreciate all the shares, the likes, the views. It warms my dark heart, and I know it also does for Clay as well. Thank you so much. Really love you guys.
And I know Tom said it, but also from my lips as well. Thank you guys so much. Tom and I have steadily seen the views grow of just not only the shorts that we put up, but the full podcast itself. And we could not have been asked for, I guess, a better start to this brand new show that we're doing. We've only dropped our 7th episode, and as of the recording of this, the views have shot way up. So again, from the bottom of our cold, dark Grinch hearts, you've made them grow 3 times.
You have.
So thank you.
You really have. You've expanded the cockles of our hearts. And thank you. And welcome to Anachronology. If it's your first time watching, we are the Anachronauts. We travel through history, time, and space to document the good, the bad, the nasty, and the sad. We do it all every week here on our YouTube channel. Like Clay mentioned, we also have an Instagram. We have a TikTok. We're tossing shorts up. We're all about that content life. And speaking of content life, we also like to make extra content, not just the content you see here on this episode of Anachronology, but all that goody extra stuff you get when you become a Patreon member. And that's where the fun really starts, is when you join Patreon.
Super sneaky Anachronology After Dark. Like Tom said, every episode we do put out a secret, well, not secret, Patreon, it's not secret, but behind closed doors content of every week you get a brand new segment and a brand new secret category. So if you like having as much fun watching this as we have making it, hey, maybe consider heading on over to the Patreon. And at the very least, if you just want to hit the little subscribe button on the YouTube or Instagram page or TikTok, it helps us grow a great deal. And like I said, from the beginning or the start of this week, we've had great return on what we've been putting out. So we just hope to get more people seeing this crazy show that me and my friend do here.
Dude, absolutely. And we just have a good time doing it. We wouldn't be doing it if we didn't have fun, and we have fun. And obviously it's a jaunt down memory lane. It's waking up to that awesome nostalgia that we all crave for, us being children of the 90s and in the 80s. It's always fun on this mission that we've been tasked with to go back to those times. And we've been everywhere. I mean, we went, I think, to the furthest point in our timeline. We went to 82. And we've been hitting the 90s. We've been hitting the aughts. I think we even traveled 3 years back, somewhere in the early 2020s. So it's been a ton of fun, and we are going to continue to do it, obviously. And we hope that you come with us and join the ride. So speaking of the ride, how we start every show is we have to figure out, where in the hell are we going? So at that point, we turn it over to our good friend, our digital companion, our favorite person, our AI producer, and the Epoch Traverser. So let's hop on over and see where the hell we be going. You ready?
Yeah, since we've gone every decade, let me see. We'll take your bets, folks. Take your bets.
Yeah, I'm gonna bet. I'm thinking before we pull up Epoch, I'm thinking maybe late 2019. I'm going to throw out there. I'm going to roll the dice. 2019.
I think a couple episodes ago, I've had the hankering or the feeling for 2000. So I'm going to double down. I'm saying 2000.
Okay, 2000. Good one. 2000, 2019. What do you guys at home? Just keep it to yourselves. We'll write it in the comments. And if you were wrong, you were wrong. So let's find out. Let's go check it out. Epoch, take us away.
It is time to find today's time coordinates from the Epoch Traverser.
Bring it on, brother. Here we go. Okay, where are we going? Oh, both wrong. Wow.
What do we got? Digital beats.
Here we go. It's actually really apropos for the 90s, too. This is the shit.
Oh, nice. Oh, I wish I could remember the name of the group. I know the name of the song, obviously.
Always, the robot lady's always bringing it. Wow, 8-bit.
Dude, I want to pump up the jams. I just can't remember the name of the band.
Exactly. Pump up the jams. And that's all. That's the only part of that song I know. It's just they just say pump up the jams, and then the rest of it I don't know. But it just sounds. I think she says like, "How do I?"
Oh yeah.
I don't know what she's saying. I don't know what she's saying. Getting that booty on the floor tonight to dance. 1993. Holy moly. Both wrong, obviously. And if you guessed it, congratulations at home. So we're back in the 90s, in the middle of the 90s, nonetheless. 93. I mean, I was kind of a not necessarily yet a teenager, but encroaching upon becoming a teenager. So kind of a snotty-nosed little kid in 93.
I'm 10, and I must have just started middle school, I believe. I think that sounds about right. Definitely coming off the if that is true, if my date is correct, then yeah, coming off the you're no longer sheltered in 5th grade. You got to go up to the 6th, 7th, 8th grade school. I'm trying to think if anything like stands out as a memory that early. Or not that early, but like a life-defining moment of 93.
I mean, middle school's checking some boxes for me too. I was definitely in middle school. It's definitely a time when, like you said, you kind of are now. I remember like you're going to dances, you're starting to mingle with the opposite sex. Like I'm thinking like the slow, tilty journey to becoming a man starts very early on in middle school. You start discovering things maybe weren't interesting to you before. It's quite a time. It is quite a time.
I would like to, I mean, obviously there's no like cell phones or, we have like notes if you're like writing to a girl or something like stupid crappy do like
notes.
I'm imagining some sort of like Pride and Prejudice, like Age of Innocence, like 1800s Victorian England shit, but it's like 1993 New England. And it's like, oh, you're really fucking cute. You're wicked cute. Do you want to hold my hand?
Yeah. Yeah. Notes were the way. We didn't have that sweet text thread. That's all we had to kind of mingle with the opposite sex. But I'm ready. I'm ready to get into it. And I hope you're ready to get into it. So if you haven't been part of the show before, buckle up. We are about to take our trip back to 1993. We will see you on the other side. So travel well, and we'll see you in 93, baby. Bye.
Access granted.
We'll be right back after a word from our sponsors.
This portion of the Anachronology podcast is brought to you by Relaxidermy. Introducing Relaxidermy. Are you tired of traditional funeral services? Say goodbye to caskets and cremation and hello to cuddly comfort with our revolutionary service. That's right, we'll turn your deadly departed into a soft, huggable stuffed animal. No more sorrow, just snuggles. Imagine grandma as a plushy, adorable pillow, always there for a warm embrace. And hey, who needs stress balls when you can squeeze your own personalized comfort companion like Pop Pop? Bringing relaxation and smiles in times of grief, because nothing says I love you like a teddy bear made from Uncle Bob. Relaxidermy, where your loved ones are never too far away. Literally. Order now and let the snuggling begin.
Hello, Anachronology viewers. I am here to remind you that you can view or listen to our program on any of the available social media platforms. You have a multitude of choices to enjoy our weekly adventures throughout the space-time continuum. We thank you for your continued support and look forward to providing you with incredible content and amazing nostalgic feels. Now back to your regular scheduled year. Goodbye. You are watching Anachronology.
You are watching Anachronology, and you are back, and you are here with us in 1993. Congratulations, you made the trip.
Thank you
Cheers.
guys for coming along with us here. Hope you
Mhm.
enjoyed that sponsor from one of our many sponsors here on Anachronology. 1993 through the wormhole, through the portal. Okay, so every episode, if you guys are new, we have selected from our dutiful AI producer what categories we are going to select. But first, we always usually have to do a little what happened. It usually spits out what was going on in
Yeah, man.
1993.
We got to do a little year in review.
Welcome, Tom and Clay, to the year 1993.
And there's AI producer on cue, and he has downloaded all of, I guess, like Clay said, kind of the necessary broad strokes that
Food
we'd like
court.
to talk about here in the year in review. Food court, absolutely. For those of you who are like, what the hell is a food court? There was a time and a place where people would go to a place called a mall, and that mall had to have a place where you could eat, not just one place. Hundreds of different options, flavors, smells from around the world. It was incredible. And you would sit in the food court. There was usually an arcade attached to said food court. And you would just sit and mingle with friends. You know, this was your text group. It was the food court. Early on text group. Incredible food court.
And I was just thinking like the mall, because especially where we grew up, there was one mall. So like the hub of all the different kids, you would see kids that you'd never seen before, because that was the mall. And you didn't see kids unless you went to the same school with them. So it was like a melting pot.
It really was. It was incredible. Long live the food court, long live the mall, and long live 1993. And what happened in 1993 exactly? A few things, and we'll talk about them right now. Obviously, these won't be necessarily our topics of conversation. We'll go back to Epic Traverser, and we'll find out here in a minute. But let's just give a quick glance at 93. So 93, right off the bat, we got Billy Clinton. We got Bill Clinton getting inaugurated as the 42nd U.S. president. There he is, proud Bill Clinton. His lovely wife Hillary at his side.
She's got the female odd job look going on with that bowler hat, dog.
Yes, sir. I mean, the Clinton reign of the 90s started here. Obviously, a lot went down. These faces sure changed and aged over the years. But sure, I think for America, it was a change in pace. It was a new crew in the White House. We're getting rid of the Bush years, and
Hillary's looking like she doesn't like the way that guy's swearing in Bill. Like she's gonna I'm firing your ass. My husband just became president. You're gone. You're out of here, Chief Justice. You're gone.
Yeah, she's dressing him down ocularly right there. It's not a very kind look. So we got the Clintons in 93. Right on schedule. AI producer with the doom and gloom. Of course, the World Trade Center bombing happened in New York, killed 6 people. This was a big deal, obviously, for happening in a big major city like New York. For me, I was a little too young in 93 to kind of zone into this and pay a lot of attention to it. I just know that it was a big deal.
Dude, I want to say the reason why the guy who got caught, who drove in, it was like a truck bomb or a van bomb, I believe.
Right.
And I think what happened, how he got caught, this is a criminal mastermind. He went to go get the deposit back for the truck.
Wow.
I swear to God, if memory serves me, that's how, you had enough smarts to put together a bomb, get it in past whatever, the loading dock, be like, oh yeah, I have to go drop off this not bomb on the ground floor. And then it blows up. And then you go back, can I get my $15 U-Haul deposit back? Where is it? It's exploded.
Wow, guy. Talk about frugalness taking you down. He should have just disappeared. But whatever. Good. I'm glad he got caught. Also, I guess now uplifting news. Nelson Mandela was awarded his Nobel Peace Prize in 93. Look at him smiling there. He's really happy. God knows all the shit that guy went through. Of course, he deserves some kind of award. Looking pretty.
Yeah, wasn't he in jail? He was in jail for 2 decades or something.
Long time. That's a long jail sentence. But now, hey, smile for the camera. Here's your award. Good for him. Moving on to the obviously music sector, 93 was an explosion of grunge and alternative rock music. I think some of the greatest music of that era came out in that time. Obviously, bands like Nirvana, Pearl Jam, Soundgarden. Hole is debatable. They are in the picture. But incredible music came out in 93. Absolutely timeless music came out at that time.
I like how in this image, Kurt is the only one who looks like he's just not giving a shit. He's just and he's going hard.
In his mouth. Fuck yeah.
He's got the guitar face. Soundgarden, he's definitely emoting. Kurt Cobain's just whatever. I don't care, whatever.
Oh yeah. That's pretty par for Cobain. But that was a big kind of movement in '93. Was the grunge and alternative movement, lives on to this day. Also, we'd be remiss to not mention one of the biggest songs of '93, "Whoop, There It Is," so deemly titled by Tag Team. This, of course, talking about middle school. This was the theme song of every middle school dance.
Dude, you took the words out of my mouth, man.
Absolutely. Yeah.
This is also like I mean, this is '93. They haven't really figured out like the post '80s aesthetic, like, you know, '90s hip hop. Like these guys look like it's a Nickelodeon show. You know what I mean? It doesn't look like these are two brothers with like a blanket pumping song.
You're right. It's true. It's like, I think design was not necessarily coming into the '90s and being like, this is the '90s, because I think after this, it was like, we went through like that kind of like real polished, like I always think of like the Puff Daddy music videos as like '90s, a lot of like silver, chrome, gold, you know, just like rich elements to it. It's like, you're right. This looks like a fucking horrible '80s poster on somebody's wall.
Or there was either or the Snoop ones were like you know, Compton-esque, really down to earth. The Dre ones also had a lot of production value. The Tupac ones. This looks like the photo day at elementary school. Like, it's no good.
And hey, they were just like, there it is. That's what you have. Whoop. Okay. TV, obviously Seinfeld was a massive show in '93, hugely popular. This was, of course, back before streaming, when people were just kind of forced to watch whatever was on TV. So you talk about captivating ratings. Tons and tons of people watched Seinfeld. It was a massive show. There they are, the crew of Seinfeld. Another big show was Roseanne. Roseanne was also just a big hit show. Roseanne Barr, before she, I don't know, took a turn and went a little weird on us all. I think and got kicked off her own show years later.
Yeah, I think I remember she was on, I can't remember if it was like no, she was on Rogan after the most recent debacle, but she was on that platform. It's like, I got hit by a car when I was 8 years old. I was dead for 13 minutes. Like, well, that can explain quite a bit later on.
Yeah, I feel like you should have led with that and we would have all felt differently. But yeah, Roseanne and the X-Files. X-Files was huge too. It was just one of those shows that was, you know, nothing was really like it. It was super weird. Obviously, David Duchovny and what's her name?
Gillian Anderson.
Gillian Anderson, super hot in those roles. Everybody was watching the show, and it was like a great mix of like, you know, scary and sci-fi, and a lot of great writers got their start on this show.
Vince Gilligan, Vince Gilligan. It was like his big breakout. And I was reading, I've seen what's her name, Gillian Anderson. She still looks great, dude.
Yeah,
like
she's aged
30 years later. She looks
incredible.
Great.
Yeah, she looks wonderful. David Duchovny, you know, I don't
all
know.
That sex addiction just drained him of his precious bodily fluids.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's our basically TV. And then, of course, '93 really started this whole late night battle that started to happen between obviously all the late night hosts. You had Conan, who was the newcomer coming into the fold. Arsenio was kind of sizzling out, but there was always a lot of contention between Leno and Letterman. And this kind of just transpired for, I think, years after this as well.
Conan, he's still like, he looks basically the same. Like he was, I don't know how old he is now, like 50 or 60, but he looks just like a little, like there not much has changed with Conan. Like I know they say black don't crack with Arsenio. Arsenio probably still looks the same, but Conan, I mean, he aged pretty well considering it's, you know,
Ginger Secrets, man. Yeah, right? Absolutely. It's got that real fair porcelain skin. But yeah, so that was going on in the late night of television. In the sports arena, I guess give it to the goddamn Dallas Cowboys. They actually won a Super Bowl back then. And here they are, very happy about it.
I think this is in the run of when they won like 3 and 4. And as a New York Giants fan, them being in my division, I do not dislike Dallas as much as I dislike Philly. But God, do I not like Dallas either. Those teams were Michael Irvin, Troy Aikman, Emmitt Smith. I mean,
killer teams.
Jimmy Johnson was the coach. Like Jimmy Johnson basically took winning from University of Miami in college and basically treated an NFL team like a college team and got them rings. So its secret sauce was somewhere.
It was, and they definitely showed it. You're right. They had that little tiny kind of pocket of Cowboys dynasty in that time. The Cowboys were hot. That was a fun starter jacket to have.
Hottest.
A lot of people had the Cowboys starter jacket. And then another big piece of news was, you know, MJ announcing that he was going to retire from the NBA, kind of walking away from this incredible run that he had with the Chicago Bulls. here he is, just kind of saying his thing. A lot of sad people behind him going, what the fuck are we going to do now?
Yeah, it's Pippin definitely looks like what the fuck we gonna do. And I don't know who that homeboy is in like the sweater, dude. Is that like the equipment manager? He is not a ball player. That dude is not a ball player.
Yeah, he's one of the AV guys or something. He's like making sure that microphone don't hiss. He's like, oh shit.
Phil Jackson looks like an English teacher. He doesn't even look like the coach of a freaking the Chicago Bulls.
Yeah, he's playing it cool. He's like, oh, it's cool. In a few more years, I'll just start another dynasty somewhere else.
It's all MJ.
It's all good. In the world of tech, the internet started to grow rapidly, and of course, there was the debut of the first and famous web browser, Mosaic. You can see it here in all its incredible grayscale glory. Look at that, incredible.
I wonder if whoever was the brainchild behind this, or developers, I would hope to think that they went on to something else. Consider in whether it's
that's true,
Google or Microsoft or something, but because Mosaic no longer exists, so the fact that they had like this, kind of at the forefront, something that was the first of, I would hope to think that if you were good at that, you could have at least got paid and not been like, well, fuck my Mosaic search engine shit.
I know.
I did it first.
Yeah, here it is now, and everything that's left of it is some kind of thumbnail online of Mosaic.
Cannibalized.
So, great job, guys. Beanie Babies. Everybody had goddamn Beanie Babies in 1993. People beat each other up for them. It's funny that it's kids here in this picture, because the big thing was grown-ass adults fighting each other over Beanie Babies and the worth that the Thai enterprise created. Obviously, he created a huge vacuum and bubble that ended up bursting on himself anyway. But what a crazy, weird fad this stuffed animal shit was.
If I had to bet, I would have not have guessed 93 for the Beanie Baby craze. I would have figured later, the poison of Beanie Babies has been around that long. They still have these at the fucking gas station I go to. Like at the there's the sunglasses rack. There's vape behind a glass bin. There's those ribbed who
would have ever thought that's where they would end up?
Those ribbed T-shirts or the ribbed you know what I'm talking about, the do rags. And then there's Beanie Babies. I don't understand how there's literally not just one or two, a whole rack of them.
I'll take a pack of Cools, a Bic lighter, and that green bear Beanie Baby over there. Thanks.
I get them in the divorce.
And let's end it with the kind of other big fad of that time was Pogs. You had to have Pogs. You had to play Pogs. I don't really even know really what the rules of Pogs were. They were more collective. There was the Slammer. And if you think about how stupid these things were, they were just literally cardboard cutout circles with different designs. Some had shiny, and they're stupid as hell, but they were another just had to have obsession in 93.
I think the way you play, I remember getting some birthday party I went to when I was a kid, that was the gifts, but I think that how you play it is you stack them up, and then it's your stack versus your players and you're pogging against, and you use the slammer. And if your slammer flips over, or whatever pogs flip over, you get to keep it. So it's kind of like betting, except with just cardboard tops and a piece of metal.
Winner takes all. I like that.
Give me my damn pogs back.
And that's a great little review there of 1993. It was a very winner takes all kind of year mentality in 1993. And Pogs does a perfect job of encapsulating that. So that's kind of the broad strokes of 1993. Now, the moment we've all been waiting for, let's head over to Epoch Traverser. Let's see, what are our three categories? What are we going to be asked to speak about today in the year 1993? Let's hope it's good. Here we go.
Anachronauts, welcome to today's year. Please proceed in discussing the following categories provided by your galactic overlords. Thank you and have a wonderful day.
Here we go, baby. Cat 1.
That is it.
Yo, I like
The
video
category
games.
is video games.
This is
Take
easy.
Take it. Cat 2.
War crimes. What? No. Advertising.
The
Okay.
category is advertising.
All right. Commercials or something.
Yeah, commercials definitely got better.
Cat 3. Oh,
Oh, well, that's
The category is
Stick the
movies.
Landing. It's fairly
bread and
good.
butter right there. That's a bread and okay. Video
Pretty
games, advertising,
Like
movies.
Yeah.
Let the categories begin.
Let them begin is right, Epoch Traverser. Wow. Okay. So, video games, Not bad. We can talk video games till the sun comes up. Especially being children of the 90s, that's what we did. The video games were hot. They were new. They were fun. There was lots of them. So definitely we probably played them. Movies.
And I want to say that
not too
that
bad.
time I want to say video games too. Like there's feel like there's some changing of the guard there. You know, between like the big systems. I feel like there's got to, whether or not it's video games or system itself. There's a big change in the guard there. Advertising was the next one, right? Advertising. I was thinking like
correct.
the decade or the 90s coming into their own, maybe around like 93. I feel like there must be some like, I don't want to say like dramatic shift of what was like the standard kind of commercial in the 80s, but I'm assuming there's going to be some like
I think
oh
so.
shit, that was 1993, because I mean it's the 90s, where it's obviously we're 3 years removed from the, you know, the heyday of the 80s, so they got to put their stamp on it. There's got to be something in there, something like worth note. And then we have movies. Yeah, then we got there's I mean,
I think
there's gotta
I think
be
we'll do fine
bunch
in the
of
movie
movies.
department.
Yeah.
We enjoy waxing anything film, especially in that time. A little bit more of our safety arena.
Wheelhouse, yeah.
Fallback wheelhouse. But let's get into it. Let's get into the first category. Let's talk video games. So that's the first one up category wise in 1993. Epoch has done a great job. AI Producer has pulled a few different things that we can talk about here. I figure we'll go kind of broad strokes. We'll talk a little PC. We'll talk a little console. Because obviously some of these video games in 93, they've spread across the different arenas.
Oh, yeah. I didn't even think about that. I'm too busy thinking about, you know, like an NES or something like that.
So here we go. First up on the category of video games, we'd be remiss if we didn't talk about Doom, baby. Doom was just a
Mount
game
Rushmore.
changer. Yes, thank you. It is a game changer, Mount Rushmore, in the first-person shooter arena. It was just one of those things that, for me, I remember seeing it when it first came out. It came out in 93 for DOS. So there you go. That's even aging it right there. And obviously, it is just an ass-kicking first-person shooter game. And I remember watching my cousin had it, and just watching him play it, I was like, how is this possible? How are you able to like blow things up? There was gore and violence, and just never before had I seen that depiction in a video game ever.
And the amount of like bullets you'd put down range, and depending on what you know, bad guy you're fighting, I can remember just the constant like like all these different noises, and then my mom would be like, "What game is that?" I'm like, "I'm killing demons from hell, Mom. Give me a second. I'll come to dinner soon."
Yeah, dude, I got stuff to do. So it's sold an estimated, and this is wild for this time period, it sold an estimated 3.5 million copies by 1999. So 6 years it sold that much. And
Physical.
Then it says physical. And up to 20 million people are estimated to have played it within the 2 years of its launch. So that's even crazier, because you're not really going anywhere and downloading the game like you were before. Like you said, Clay, you had to have the physical copy of the game. You had to go buy it, know somebody that had it, install it, and play it. It's as simple as that.
They even had the oh man, I can't remember what guy, however many years ago, he did like a parody of it, but the Doom guy face, how the Doom guy face was like in the box, and the more like damage you took, like the blood would trickle down and he would get all messed up. Like I think that was like the first time there was that kind of like interactive, like you always had a health bar or whatever, but that kind of showing the physical state of your injured first-person player. It's like, oh man, look at this! Like I've never seen this in a video game before. ID Software too. ID Software. I'm trying to think of the publishing house producer.
Awesome ID Software. So for any of you who are watching this that have never heard of Doom or have experienced Doom, I know that since its iteration, they've had many different kinds of refreshes on the genre and the brand. It's come out for different consoles. Let's just watch a real quick playthrough. And the music.
Oh yeah. Oh, and the code, there was definitely the unlimited ammo code.
There we go.
Start off with a pistol.
Oh, it just slaps.
Oh, the body armor.
Yeah, got to get the armor. You're right. They start you off modest. They start you off with the pistol.
And that sound, that like the opening the door sound. Oh man.
You know, I have to be honest with you. The soundtrack is slapping way more than I remember it.
Yeah, that door sound. Oh, he's getting a little acid bath.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that'll hurt you. Here he's gonna start messing some dudes up here. Yeah, got to get all that health.
I think they're like imps or something.
There we go. Yeah, there we go.
Nazi soldiers or whatever.
Just piles and mounds of like blood and fucking bones.
Man, to think
the
how far
sound effects are so bad. It's great.
Hey, Fortnite, you got Doom to thank.
Yeah. And that was it. This, I mean, obviously, and you play. It was a fairly long game. I think you played for a decent amount of time, and it was just riveting. You were just fucking drawn to it. There's something about Doom. It just sucked you in.
I can't remember if there was like 9 levels to mirror like the 9 circles of hell, but I know that's what. Were you like on an alien planet, but like it's the portal to hell on an alien planet on Mars? I think it even is. So I can't know if there was 9 levels or not, but yeah, I mean 9 levels, and obviously you get upgraded weapons and worse, more severe bad guys coming at you. But for 1993, you gotta understand there was Super Mario before that, Duck Hunt before that,
nothing like this.
Nothing like this.
I'll always remember too. The BFG was in Doom too. The BFG, you can obviously spell that out for yourself, but that was the ultimate weapon at the time. So Doom, right off the bat, a great start to 93 games. Obviously, a PC console situation until it obviously flowed over into tons of different consoles. I think I remember actually vividly playing it for the N64. They put out a Doom 64, which was fun. That was a kind of a fun jaunt. Star Fox. Star Fox was an SNES release in 1993. It was kind of really ahead of its time in a sense, and how the graphics looked and how you played it. I think a lot of what they were trying to do was try to give you a 2D, 3D fighter pilot environment in space. And it just kind of adopted a cult following. You can see all of the Star Fox crew here. It did really well, sold 4 million copies, and then basically because of that, it established itself as a flagship in the Nintendo franchises. Tons of fun.
I never owned Star Fox, but I remember being, I think we talked about this in another episode, when you would go to a toy store and there would be a kiosk where you could play the games. Like, I think they still have those now. I don't know. I've been to like a fucking toy store in forever. But I remember playing, not knowing what Star Fox was, and like you said, the way it's presented, the flying aspect of it, it was different from any other like flying game before it, and being like so like taken aback, like, what is this game? And asking kids about their school, be like, no, trying to explain it to them, and them not having any idea because they had not, they had not seen it yet. It's like, it was like speaking a foreign language, because that's how unique the game was at the time.
Yeah, it really was. And like I'm saying, I think we were so used to these 2D scrollers and a lot of these things, especially on the SNES, but you'll see here, it just took on this totally different environment with this like 3D look that it had. And granted, the graphics are not very good at all. They look very strange and boxy, but they went fairly epic with it. Let's get to the play here.
Gameplay.
Here we go. Stage 1.
Yeah.
There it is. This is it. These are the little ships that you had. But this was fun and enticing. And like all your crew members like scream and talk to you. Awful Nintendo music.
That
frog.
That image from the title screen of all the crew, they were looking like they'd taken some Benzedrine and wanted to get behind the wheel and go kill some people. They were not messing around.
But it's just like boxy graphics with just some levels of your shooting stuff. You're shooting towers. There's other enemy aircraft coming in.
And it's all, and like you said, the graphics aren't the greatest. Like, it's just shapes, but it's not like the Top Gun game. It's not like 1941 where there's biplanes. It's not a Star Wars, game where you get an X-Wing.
What is that?
Yeah,
it just doesn't even matter.
That was from Tron?
Again, just boxy graphics. This one's mine. And again, like your sassy co-pilot crew, they were always
looking out for you, though.
They'd always tell you to do a barrel roll in this too.
Yes, the infamous do a barrel roll.
A barrel roll. That was always famous. And then I thought this was cool. This is a very early 90s. And this was also the thrill of living in the 90s. Here's a commercial they made for Star Fox.
That's pretty sweet. Dope. Yeah. Requiem for a Dream.
You are witnessing a new technology.
Barrel roll.
The first and only
Crab
game
walker.
powered
Whoa!
by
Shooting some crazy face,
Uh-oh.
making it look sweet.
If you die in Star Fox, you die in the real world.
You are Foxy Cloud.
Oh shit. And then the person is a fox. What a time to be alive. Just getting video game commercials as a kid, you were just ravenous for it. You just be like, oh my god, I saw the commercial. I have to go get the game now.
I think when we watched when GoldenEye, the episode we had GoldenEye, a similar like I guess marketing tactic, it seems like for American NES commercials was you get like 2 or 3 frames of the game, then you get like a real person or something real. Show that for like 5 seconds, a couple more frames of the game. Like don't show too much of the game. We don't want to spoil it. When in reality, it's a lot of polygons and shit. But
yeah, exactly. There wasn't much to show. But yeah, again, a different game for its time, and obviously, I think pushed some boundaries with Star Fox. Another game that was, I think, a big deal sealer for a lot of people was, of course, Street Fighter II Turbo. Street Fighter II Turbo was the ultimate fighting game. I'd say it's up there in that time with Mortal Kombat. It wasn't necessarily like the bloody kind of goriness of Mortal Kombat, but Street Fighter II just had an incredible universe of characters, and the fighting styles inside of Street Fighter II were epic. All the moves and combos you could do, insane, dude.
Obviously, Hadouken. I mean, how do you not know what Hadouken is? Yoga Flame, Dalzim Yoga Flame, Kung Lee with her, obviously Kung Lee's. If you don't know who Kung Lee is, then you do yourself a little favor if you like video games, boys. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And I think that there's two camps.
Lots of cosplay there.
I think there's 2 camps. I think there's the Street Fighter camp and the Mortal Kombat camp, and Street Fighter did come out first. And I know the edge, like you mentioned about the gore, this isn't necessarily the gore style a la Mortal Kombat, but for a pure fighting game, I think you're hard pressed to I know that there are still tournaments that go on for all sorts of stuff. Like Smash Brothers is big now. But I think there is still like Street Fighter 2, like specifically Street Fighter 2 Turbo, not like and there might be the newer ones, but I think there's also specifically because of the move set, like how difficult the coding of the characters themselves are. Like it's not I guess with the advent of newer games, how much like I want to say like less, not like cheesing you can do, but like it's almost seen as like more difficult to go to the OG games, one of which is a sequel. But Street Fighter 2 Turbo. I mean, if you are younger than the age of Tom and myself, which is in your 40s, and you like fighting games, I mean, this isn't, with Guilty Gear, I know kind of came out relatively a couple years ago, and that's got a lot of praise. Obviously, whatever new Mortal Kombat, but to go for like an OG side-scrolling fighting game, pretty damn good still. Like it holds up.
Yeah, and I think Capcom being like a big force in the world too, like I think they created something that was so iconic that a lot of other things have tried to copy it. Obviously, it was like the perfect side scroller, and Turbo was cool because it was exactly as it touted. It was faster gameplay, faster fighting. So you could get in, you could do, you could take a player, you could play a campaign with a player, you'd be done in if you wanted to, done in like 15 minutes.
And they had all the level select. You can go to the different levels and you can have the interactive backgrounds. You can be throwing stuff into like break a car, break some pallets, trash cans, all that shit. Yeah, man. Freaking the dope ass fighting game.
Yeah, solid. And it did a lot for the fighting genre. Next up, another game that I think did a lot for the sports genre, not just for its craziness and its zany catchphrases, but for its gameplay, was NBA Jam. Came out in 1993. And I have a special place in my heart. I played lots of NBA Jam. I had it for the Sega. I remember the Sega Genesis. And it was just freaking crazy. I don't even know how to describe NBA Jam. It's just whack.
So, 2-on-2 basketball. Like instead of having, 5-on-5, you 2-on-2. And dude, I remember, this was one of the first games I remember that had a deep Easter egg, like player select.
Yes, it did. You're right. It did. And you could be weird players. I think you could be Bill Clinton.
Dude, that's what I was going to say. I think you could be Bill Clinton. And I want to say, did he break out a saxophone or something?
Who knows? And you're probably right.
I'm trying to think
Incredible.
of there wasn't there like Afro mode or big head mode where everybody had big heads.
There was big head mode. You are correct. There was. Let's look at a real quick. This is here we go. We'll get a little gameplay action for NBA Jam.
Oh, he's on fire. I mean, that's burned into my memory.
Good.
He's heating up. He's
Here we
on fire.
93
Midway. Midway, yeah, same makers of what's it called? Mortal Kombat. Dang, double hitting home runs.
And this started as an arcade game, which I wasn't too familiar with. That was only into the console. Here we go.
Yeah, they run awesome too. The way they run. You can push people.
And the shit talk by the announcers is so good. Here it comes.
Head fake. Coleman.
Yeah, come on.
Ooh.
Oh man, this is if whatever like college hoop game is out now. I mean, you know, the camera angles. It's like actually looking at it almost probably looks like a real basketball game. That's like the best we got, and it wasn't even like they couldn't even fit 10 players on the court. You only got 4 players on the court.
You're right, and it was like a scroll back and forth 2D. You know, you could come like up court, down court, and like you were saying before. Really, I think the most iconic thing was the sound effects from it. Here they are.
Nice.
Head fake. Basil.
Basil.
Head fake. For 2. No good. Count it. He's on fire.
Yeah.
From downtown. The rebound. No good. Intercepted. Yeah. Boom shakalaka.
Boom shakalaka.
The turnover.
The turnover, and just like all the sounds of people getting like roughed up too. It was like it was all about like you could get rough in that game. That was what was so funny about it.
I'm gonna start interjecting razzle dazzle a little more in my daily lexicon here. Help me a little razzle dazzle. No, I'm just playing a little NBA Jam. I want to get you a little razzle dazzle.
So yeah, NBA Jam 93, totally worth it, totally fun. If you could ever get yourself your hands on an old copy, I would totally play it again. It's a blast.
Sure, it's a ROM dumped. Myst.
This game was a weird one. Another PC installation, Myst. I didn't really play it. I had a cousin who was real into the PC games, hence introduced me to Doom, which was great. Loved Doom. Myst was a real slow roll kind of game. Very long in the tooth. I would say it was pretty borderline boring, honestly. A lot of discovery, a lot of puzzles, a lot of allure built into this. You're some person. It's a first-person journey on this mysterious island.
I remember getting I want to say a demo disc, or it was like the first. I don't know if it was like the first level, but it was wherever you could walk around and like outside the building on the island of Myst.
Okay.
And when you just said like boring, bro, I remember seeing the it's Myst in these cool letters and like the look of this island. It's all imagination's going wild. And I put the disc in, load up the demo, and it's just walking around.
It is.
And I'm sure there probably was like some like puzzle I needed to solve, but I was just too stupid at whatever age I was to
that's just it. It's a lot of interacting with things. And I mean, not to say that like I think there's a lot of people that enjoy that. Like there's like lots of like the Zelda games were like that came out later on, that are just like you got to solve a puzzle to get into this room and do this and that. Like I think the puzzle aspect of it is good. This seemed to have taken almost a cult phenomenon where just like, I mean, it's saying it sold more than 6 million copies worldwide. So it's not like people hated it. It just had a very particular brand of people that enjoyed it and would play it. Let's take a quick look. This is just like a person walking around playing some of Myst, but you talk about boring. If you were sitting not playing this, you'd just be like, let's get to some play. Yeah, here we go.
point and click.
Okay.
That's how they get you.
There.
They get you with those sound effects.
And then there's like weird shit like this. What the fuck? What's going on?
That's
Okay.
that's not even an actor. That's just a programmer. They're like, we need to. This part of the game is what I want to happen. Well,
Here you
figure
go.
it out.
A lot of lever play,
Yeah, what the hell? It's like
pulling levers. Uh-oh.
Yo, when do I get to shoot somebody? When do I get to shoot a demon from hell on this island of
And
mist?
see, and that's the thing. There's no satisfaction with it. It's just like, and you're using this like, I mean, how awful is that? Look, you're just like moving with the finger button. Okay, you opened up a secret compartment. Good for you. There you go. Go down the stairs. This was it. This is the whole game. That's how it worked. Wow.
Pull another lever.
Pull another lever. You're doing great. And then they would have like, again, and I think it was probably ahead of its time just because it was incredibly involved and
The graphics are good.
sure. And again, for 93 graphics on a computer, I'm sure people were really pleased with it. So yeah. So that's Myst on PC. We'd be remiss to not talk about consoles in 93 because obviously everybody was awaiting what was the next thing, what was the next big thing. We had kind of seen Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis come out beforehand. 16-bit was like big deal. But one of probably the most talked about consoles in 93 was from Sega, and it was Sega CD. And take a look at Sega CD. Now, it's funny because I never ever played Sega CD. I just remember seeing the commercials for it and reading, how cool it was. But I mean, if you look at it, it's an incredibly lazy invention. It's just a CD-ROM attached to a regular Sega Genesis console. And voila, you have the Sega CD all of a sudden.
I also did not have a Sega CD. I can remember seeing them on the stores in shelves and being like, "Oh man, it'd be so cool to be rich and own a Sega CD." I don't think off the top of my head there was any game that was introduced on the Sega CD that carried over. You know what I mean? Like, you know how like Sonic starts off like on the cart.
Right.
I don't think there was any IP that starts off on Sega CD and then it still stands or still is around today. What I guess I'm saying is Sega CD was so bad, like they couldn't even come up with one good game for this to work.
Yeah, and I mean the big tote was the CD technology at the time. That's what they were pulling on big time. And apparently, what AI producer's sending here is apparently they partnered with a bunch of other companies to make this happen. Apparently, they partnered with JVC, the company that basically made camcorders, and they helped them design the Sega CD. And the whole benefit of it was that it offered approximately 160 times more space than a Genesis or Mega Drive cartridge. And then really the benefit that they touted was full motion video, which really is just like
a DVD.
Yeah, it's just like showing a real life person, like we just saw in that last Myst video, some person talking in their face. It wasn't any bits. It was just like they could put higher resolution video content inside of video games, and it only sold 2.24 million units, which I'm sure after a while it says that Sega was unhappy with it, discontinued it to then focus on the Sega Saturn. So let's bring on whatever comes next, which I guess was Sega Saturn.
I mean, yeah, I can't even tell you what the hell if there's also like any IP that started on either Sega CD or Sega Saturn that is still around. I mean, Sega is still, they just put out a new Sonic game relatively recently, right? Didn't Sega?
I think Sega over time got out of the console game, and they stayed somewhat silently in the game market. So they do produce games, I think.
And they must have shot themselves in the foot twice. Once with Sega CD, and then once with Sega Saturn. If they couldn't recoup any money from making those damn things, they could get more money to sink into making games. Because, like I said, I can't think of anything aside from. Oh, actually, no. There is one game. I think it's called Plumbers Don't Wear Ties, and I think it's known as like one of those an adult video game. I think that's.
We're about to get to that. I see that. AI. We'd be remiss to not talk about that part of Sega CD. Real quick, here's a Sega CD. You talk about going hard. Here's their kind of like edgy commercial they put out to try to sell it.
Black guys.
You still don't have a
What are you waiting for? Nintendo to make one? You have seen the games, right? Wrong answer, man. Show them.
Get it.
What?
Want to see more?
Incredible, going for it. I mean, you know what? I'll be honest with you. It is very alluring. I would be like, yeah, what's this about? And I'm sure the price tag was up too. I mean, for the time, I'm sure that was fairly expensive to buy.
Get me whoever is close enough to Spike Lee that people won't know the difference.
Yeah. So back to your point, controversial games, and tying that into Sega CD, the game you mentioned is correct. Another game that stirred and pissed a lot of people off was this game called Night Trap. Now, it came out for Sega CD. I think other platforms also picked it up. Now, this became quite a source of contention for the U.S. Senate, all the way to the point where this game, Night Trap, was included in the 1993 U.S. Senate hearings on video game violence. They hated it so much. So I found that there is this compilation of Night Trap deaths that I guess were in this game. And let's take a look at it and let's see, I mean, how bad is this really to have stirred up the U.S. Senate to have to like hold a committee on this shit?
Night Trap. Yeah, I was gonna say it sounds like something like a cop would set up with a prostitute. They're in a night trap, boys.
Lisa's death. And you can see again, here's your full motion video. It's just fucking video. This is just a fucking, yeah, it's literally just a video that you play. It's not even like, and it seems like these games were a lot of just like choose your own adventure and you can get swarmy with it. Let's see. Obviously slasher-esque. Here she goes, some sexy buxom blonde girl.
Hold on a second. I'm checking eBay for a Sega CD. Gotta find the game. Yo, this
yeah. Okay. Put up her hair. She's in a negligee.
He's night trapping back there. I can see what he's
doing. Something strange back there. And
right? His hands aren't visible above the waist.
This isn't gonna work. You're not scaring me.
She thinks it's a game. Uh-oh.
What are you doing?
Oh my god, is she being night trapped?
Wait a minute. I might have seen a video like this before.
Oh. And then some device that he has. Oh my god, what is going on?
She's getting night trapped.
Oh, okay. Drilling into her neck somehow.
Just imagine some kid sitting with a controller. But when can I play the game? Yeah, she's gonna get night trapped.
All right, and there she is, the night trap, violently taken off the set. It's just all screaming. This is the game. And then here's another woman being like taken by these like masked men. And they're just doing the same thing. What are they even doing?
Oh, she likes getting night trapped. Definitely.
There she goes, getting the neck drill. Oh, taking her blood. That makes sense.
So this game was just a student film. This is what this game was. This game was like a student film.
Yeah, and with like a bunch of like half-dressed women being stalked and killed, but apparently it pissed a lot of people off and caused a lot of controversy for Sega CD, for the video game companies, and led to them having to have this council that went on in the U.S. There it is. There's Night Trap itself. I'm sure you can find a copy if you want. But yeah, and of course, run by, of course, Joel Lieberman at the time. He was always a big mouthpiece. But apparently it was March 4th, 1993. Members of the combined United States Senate Committees on Governmental Affairs and the Judiciary held congressional hearings with several spokespersons for companies in the video game industry, including Nintendo and Sega, involving violence in video games and the perceived impacts on children. I see that he has like the Lethal Enforcer gun that you used to hook into the Sega Genesis. I'm sure he was going crazy with that. But it shows you, even as far back to 1993, this has always been a thing. Just like video games are making kids crazy. Video games are turning kids into murderers. Video games, it's a hilarious old hat that's been passed around for a long time.
One of the things I hate about this argument about like, oh, think about the kids, think about your children or whatever. It's like, what kid is having enough money to buy a video game? You know what I mean? Like if the kid like is playing the video game, it's not the video game that's doing it. It's whoever the hell much like that gun in your hand, Joe. Like a 10-year-old kid can't walk into a gun store and buy a gun. Much like a 10-year-old kid can't walk in and buy Night Trap. So I mean,
that's true.
The argument like, oh, it's like, well,
it's funny.
The game isn't meant for 10-year-old kids. And how many, young kids are even if the amount of units moved by Sega CD or Sega Saturn is anything to go by. I don't think that anybody was finding, Night Trap next to Sonic the fucking Hedgehog.
Yeah, I'm sure it was put in a place where only certain kids could buy it. And I mean, I think the one thing this 93 hearing, it did actually create, I guess, the ratings board for video games. So at some point, they had to be like mature or something where they were like, just like renting an R-rated video or something. You just had to, like you said, you had to prove you were of age to use it. But boy, were they in for a future of way more violent video games. Great job, guys.
I only play videos rated N for Night Trap.
For Night Trap. So that was cool. All right, that was our first category in 1999, video games.
Bangers.
Oh,
I was just going to say, and just once again, just to bring back the Doom that we let off with. I mean, the Mount Rushmore. I cannot stress enough how as much as that video probably was unimpressive, the gameplay. I guarantee you, in 1993, there was nothing like it.
Nothing like it. I would be, I feel like there's amazing like first person shooter games that have come out since it, but it's what they did at the time. And the simplicity of it.
Wolfenstein might have come up before that, but again, that's like against real Nazis. Right. This was, demons from hell.
Real demons, dude.
Yeah.
Demons. That is awesome.
It is officially time to throw to a segment.
Oh, thank you, AI producer, taking the words out of my mouth. What I was going to say is we also like to do segments here on Anachronology. We always like to try to pair them together with some of our categories. So we have a brand new segment premiering here today on 1999 episode of Anachronology. Those are always fun. You can, of course, play along at home. This one is one we like to call Where Have I Heard That Before? Where it's exactly as it sounds. Where have we heard the mysterious sound before? Now we're going to link this segment into this category, and we're going to do video games on this. Where have I heard that before? Now, Clay, you're going to play.
I dig it.
You can also play at home as well. So the way this will go is I will play a sound. You will then be able to guess the sound. If you're correct, I will reveal it. And sure, you just get bragging rights for knowing a lot about video games.
Yeah, well, if you do better than I do, you get my signed copy of Night Trap. I will send it first person.
Pretty good. Signed by Joel Lieberman as well, which is pretty impressive.
Night Trap.
And you got him to sign it. All right, so let's get into it. Where have I heard that before? Okay, so what I'll do is I will play it for you. You can hear it. If you want to hear it again, let me know. I will play it again. I think these range in difficulty. I mean, there are some kind of real underhand tosses, and then there's the complexity does grow. I will be interested to see how you do on this, Clay. So let's get you off on your first one. So here comes your first. Where have you heard this before, Clay?
That would be Night Trap. I'm sorry, that is Pac-Man.
Actually, they're all Night Trap.
It's Pac-Man.
It's Pac-Man. Nice job, my friend. That's right. How can you not recognize that sound? That iconic sound. It was like that stand-up arcade game is burned into everybody's head that was born in the 80s and 90s. It was everywhere. Very nicely done. Here comes another one out the gate. Again, we're starting off on kind of a slow pitch here. Yeah.
Of course, that's is it just Mario Brothers or is it Super Mario Brothers at this point? It is Super Mario.
I would accept both. Super Mario Brothers. That is correct. Super Mario Brothers. That incredible sound of this little Italian plumber giving himself all the concussions in the world by smacking bricks and question mark boxes.
I can't remember if there was like 1 or 3 guys that worked on the Mario Brothers like soundtrack. But dude, all of the levels in like basically like all the Super Mario Brothers are awesome, dude. Like they're the artists who whatever their musical discipline was, those Japanese guys that did it. Bravo, boys, because that's the ubiquitousness of those tracks, man. They're poppers, man. I'm nervous. Like 2 for 2. I'm nervous though.
Okay, here we go. Moving on to your next one.
Right. That's I was gonna say if you threw that in, but the brink of his blaster, that is Mega Man.
It's Mega Man. Nice job.
Dude, that death sound like that, because Mega Man is like one of those games where you have to like there's disappearing like blocks. You don't know until you know the insta death spikes and that like do and you disappear into the balls. Many a game that got ended in that death sound. So definitely got that one down in my
you're 100% right. That was the worst sound in the world to have happen, and that's you would just basically fucking explode. So all right, moving on. Here we go.
So we were just talking. It was the spring, the coin collecting, the jump noise, Sonic the Hedgehog.
You are correct, sir. Sonic the Hedgehog. You're doing great. You are 4 for 4, my friend. All right, moving on. Next sound.
Give me Nitro.
Where have you heard this before?
I mean, that's the soundtrack 100% gives it away, but the sound of the bullets also, even the hitting, the metal clanking of the shell casing or ejecting, GoldenEye.
Yeah, nicely done, my friend. It is so GoldenEye. Oh man, GoldenEye. It's so funny. I'll look at GoldenEye and you just look at it like look how terrible it looked, but it was so fun. Like you can never deny how incredible GoldenEye was.
Doing the 4-on-4 where you had to like look at one corner of the screen if you're like playing, if you're maximizing the capacity, or you know what I mean? Like you don't play splitting the screen up into 4 different quadrants anymore.
No, it was just again, you don't do that, but at the time it was just so perfect.
Oh yeah, it totally worked out.
It stands alone in time. GoldenEye. Well done. Okay, next. Here we go.
Okay.
What was that noise? Huh?
Metal Gear, baby. Metal Gear. Yeah.
You're killing it, man. Nicely done. 6 for 6. Metal Gear. Metal Gear was another one of those really cool games that I think when it came out, it did such a great job of like the introduction of like having to be sneaky and covert and like getting caught. And so many games after this just picked up on that same gimmick.
This is if this is Metal Gear Solid, I'm pretty sure it is. I remember this was like a Christmas gift, the double CD, totally stoked. And one of the bad guys, if you had a memory like a memory card in your PlayStation, it would read the games and it'd be like, oh, so you like playing Castlevania or some shit. It'd be like, how do they know what games are on my PlayStation?
It narked you. That's weird. Yeah. All right, well done. Okay, moving on to our next. Where have you heard this before?
All right, can I get it one more time? I think I might know what this is from.
Yes, sir. Playing it one more time. Where have you heard this before?
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think I'm overthinking it. This has got to be a Zelda. It has to be some Zelda. Yeah. Ocarina of Time. I was overthinking.
Very good.
Overthinking it.
The Ocarina of Time. One of probably the greatest Zelda games of its time on N64.
I remember watching you play this game. I remember watching you play this game. Yeah, man.
Many nights beating my head against the fucking wall trying to figure out all the different fucking mazes and fucking puzzles. I mean, this game, it was the gift that keep on giving. It was another just big release like GoldenEye for N64, just absolutely killing it.
And it always seems too, like whatever Link game comes out. I mean, obviously there's always or Zelda, whatever you want to call it. Every time there is a game, like they always have a good following, the fan base. But you don't really hear like this Zelda game sucks, or this like they all, whether it's on a DS or the one that came out, the two came out on Switch, obviously the ones that are on the OG NES, like they all seem to do what they do. They seem to do very well.
Yes, they do. They do, and then they just keep them coming. Okay, well, you're doing really well. Here we go. Now this next one is tough because it's literally a sound effect. But if you've played this game, you got it. So here we go. Here's your sound effect. Tell me what this is from.
I know. That's like the battery is like charging up. It's like, oh God.
I'll give it to you one more time.
Yeah. I should know this. Oh God damn it. I should know this. I should know this, and it's killing me that I don't know this. I'm gonna
Any guess? Nothing?
So it's the thing is charging up, but why is it making that noise? I'm trying to think of what the That's a good noise. I know I've played this game.
Yeah, I know you have too. And when I was listening to it too, I was like, oh wow, it flooded back memories when I knew what it was.
Oh, I do. I got it.
Okay, fair enough. Watchers at home, if you've guessed, and if you guessed Splinter Cell, you are correct. It was his goddamn like night vision goggle things he would put on.
There was the best weapon in this game was the stun gun.
Yes.
It was electrocuted stun gun, and you could light people on fire. Like if you held it down long enough, they would start smoking and light on fire. Oh man, I'm a little disappointed in myself that I'm sorry. Right. Sam something is his name. Sam. God, I can't remember the main character's name, but yeah, Splinter Cell owned this. I knew I should have had that.
Alrighty, not bad. That's only the first one you haven't gotten. So moving on, where have you heard this before?
One more time. I'm guessing it sounds like a sports game. Yeah, I mean, like, if I had to guess, I would say it would be like some sort of like Wii Sports or Wii Tennis.
Okay. A good guess at that. Not correct, but a good guess. It was 20.
Oh, dude, I never owned this one.
Okay, fair enough. For those who had played a lot of it, obviously it was a huge popular console game. It's the hitting the rails and dropping in that sound effect was all the different points and the combos you could get that would toss up there. Fair
Dude,
enough.
I never owned that. That is one that slipped through my cracks. I never owned a Tony Hawk.
Okay. All right, here we go. There's still plenty of time. We have a few more left. Here we go. And next, where have you heard this before? Again, a small sound effect, but if you played the game, this one's right here. One more.
I don't think it's Resident Evil. It sounds like a bolt action. It's Call of Duty. Is that a Call of Duty?
Perfect.
Yeah, Call of Duty. Yeah.
Well done, my friend. Yeah. It is very much the ejection of the clip from. Oh, sorry, wrong one. From Call of Duty. That's the one. That's what you want to hear. That was awesome. Call of Duty was badass. That was just another. I mean, obviously, it has just like sprung 1,000 different Calls of Duty. But I remember the old school, the World War II one was freaking awesome. The first one was sweet. Tons of fun.
All right, back on the plus side here.
All right, nice job. So here we go. Here's your next one. Where have you heard this before?
One more time, because that's like
again.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm hearing like some sort of conjured flame and then hitting something. So I don't know if this I don't think it's Doom. I don't think you would doom me. I don't think it's Doom. Oh, man.
I'll give it to you one more time. This is a tough one.
Yeah, and it's hitting something. God, I feel like I should know this.
It sneaks up on you when you find out what it is.
God. I got to do it. I don't know. I'm at a loss.
Okay. Well, it is the very, I guess, the worst sound you can hear when you're playing this game. It's when you die in Grand Theft Auto 4.
No.
Or Grand Theft Auto San Andreas.
Man, I am very sorry.
No.
CJ, I let you down, CJ. I'm sorry.
CJ, all right.
This is like one for all the when I get rid of my
Amazing.
PlayStation 2, man, this is like the game that I missed the most. That and
I know.
Rock.
It was incredible.
Oh man.
Yeah, it was. It almost gave years. It gave more years to the PlayStation 2. I think it was just such a great game. It was so good.
Overthinking it so much.
All right, here we go. We've got 3 more here in Where Have I Heard That Before? And Strong. Now, these are, I'd say there's a mix of real easy and then kind of tough in these. So this one, this is an underhand toss.
Get over here!
Obviously, that's Night Trap. That Mortal Kombat, baby.
It is Night Trap. Okay. This one's tough, but we'll let this one fly. Here we go. There's the next one.
Nice shot.
That I feel like has got to be like Wii Golf or something, or Wii Sports. Yeah. All right.
Perfect.
Yeah. Okay.
Nice job. Very good. It was Wii Golf. Very good. Okay. And now for your last, what is this? Here we go. This one's, if you played this game, you'll know this. Here we go.
First you run. First thing I was going to World of Warcraft. I was Skyrim. Skyrim. Yeah.
Hey, very nicely done, my friend.
Man,
very nicely done. I mean, honestly, I think what, two you didn't get?
I got 2 or 3. I think it was 2 or 3, and one of which is Splinter Cell I should have had.
You did a wonderful job. So great job on the very first.
This is a good segment, man. This is good.
Where Have I Heard That Before? Video Games Edition. I'm curious how y'all did at home listening. If you got a couple of them, throw them in the comments. Let us know. But yeah, a kind of a big swing here coming out the gate with our first category, video games, in a segment. Let's take a quick sponsor break and be back to jump on a category 2. So stay tuned. We'll be right back.
See ya.
We'll be right back after these messages. Go get yourself some gabagool.
Today's episode is brought to you by Exceptional Excuses, the ultimate guide to wriggling out of life's most awkward situations. Tired of dodging that panhandler on your way to work? Exceptional Excuses has got you covered. Sorry, man, all I got is credit cards and arcade tokens. I never carry cash. Just whip out one of our expertly crafted excuses and voila! No more awkward encounters. And what about that close talker at the bar with onion breath? Don't sweat it. Just turn to Exceptional Excuses for a quick, easy getaway plan. Sorry, I can't get close to anybody. I might have contracted COVID from a fish show I went to last weekend. Just playing it safe. Or how about finding an easy out from having to sleep with your date who is laying it on pretty thick? I shouldn't have eaten so much. I always regret it and have to blow up the bathroom in the middle of the night. With over 150 pages of witty, foolproof excuses, you'll never be caught off guard again. Get your copy of Exceptional Excuses today and kiss those uncomfortable moments goodbye. Remember, when life throws you lemons, throw back an exceptional excuse.
You are watching Anachronology.
Welcome back. Thank you for joining us again after this awesome commercial break with some of our incredible sponsors. And as we always say here on Anachronology, you too can become a sponsor. You can also become an anachronaut like us by helping support the show. And if support means subscribing to videos, liking videos, or if you even want to go the full Monty and subscribe to the Patreon, where you get a ton of cool extra stuff.
And however you support us, whether it be subscribing for free or giving us some money through Patreon, it is greatly appreciated. All we ask is that, if it's not too much trouble, just clicky, give us a follow, give us a like. It really helps the show out a great deal. And if you got the extra time, maybe write a little comment, maybe ask us a question, tell us what you think. We'd be very much appreciative.
We love all that stuff. And we've been trying to kind of share some of the extra content on a lot of the socials recently. We've been popping up little clips from a lot of our Patreon member exclusive videos that get dropped for Patreon members each week to give everybody a little taste of the flavor of what they're missing, what you can be getting literally every week for your monthly subscription to the Patreon. So check that out. But if you're just joining us, hey, welcome to 1993, where we've been having some fun. We just did our first category of video games, which was a ton of fun. We learned a lot of things that we may not have known, or we took a walk down memory lane. Clay
put out an eBay alert for Night Trap. Yeah. So if anybody outbids me for Night Trap, damn it.
Yeah. Realize I got to get my hands on a Sega CD.
Like yesterday.
But it was fun. It was fun. And then we did that little Where Have I Heard That Before game. Clay did very well. And hopefully you played with us at home as well. Let's move on to our next category. This is one that we have done before on some of our prior shows. In 1993, we're going to talk about advertising. Advertising. Spaceballs, the breakfast cereal. Yeah, I mean, basically whatever was the mode of advertising back in that time. Obviously, in the 90s, it was commercials. The internet wasn't as prominent. There wasn't banner ads everywhere or pop-up ads. It was just a commercial break. Always going to commercial, having to watch said commercials. Actually, most shows made in that time period were made like, what, 21 minutes, 22 minutes? You had at least 8 minutes of commercials you had to watch throughout your program.
And for obviously the necessary evil that is advertising, a bunch of it's garbage, and not every commercial from the 90s is going to be like the Super Bowl ads every year. However, there's like much like anything, there are the good stuff that stands out. So I think I said that earlier in the show, like I know there's got to be some like changing of the like rounding of the corner coming out of the 80s into the 90s. You know, we've probably got to see at least something that isn't these like hokey white people fucking standing in front of you know, some Polaroid cameras and some 8-tracks. So interesting to see what AI producers dug up from 1993.
Yeah, absolutely, Clay. And I think exactly what you're saying, that is what we see here in 1993. In 1993, we start to see a turn into, I guess, kind of a more artistic approach to commercials, a little more elevation to commercials, where we were actually bringing in future famous filmmakers to make a lot of commercials. So that's actually first up on our docket is the bet you didn't know who directed these commercials. So this is kind of interesting. AI producer helped dig these up for us. But let's take a look at some commercials that you've probably seen and didn't know that some famous directors actually touched these things. The first one up is a Got Milk commercial from 1993, an incredibly famous Got Milk commercial. If you've ever seen this one, we'll play it real quick. This is obviously the Aaron Burr Got Milk commercial in the 90s. And yes, there were commercials for milk in the 90s. Let's get through this guy's goddamn introduction. Okay, here we go.
Dude, this actor's been in so much shit too.
And that was the Vienna Wood Dance in D, one of my all-time favorites. And now let's make that random call with today's $10,000 question. It's a tough one. Who shot Alexander Hamilton in that famous duel? All right, let's go to the phones and see who's out there.
Hello,
for $10,000. Who shot... Excuse me?
I'm
afraid your time is almost up. I'm sorry. Maybe next time.
Wow.
And of Transformers fame, of in every movie there is a adult man having a relationship with a teenage woman, Mr. Michael. Why don't we have astronauts learn how to drill instead of drillers learn how to astronaut? Shut the fuck up, Ben. Mr. Michael Bay.
Mr. Michael Bay. This was not only like by Michael Bay, it was one of the first like big breaks that Michael Bay had. He did this in 1993. Apparently, this was upon him being a film graduate from Art Center College in Design, and this was a big breakout for Michael Bay. And I guess he did maybe a few more of these, but literally after this, the guy went on to make freaking Bad Boys. So a lot of people liked his style. They liked kind of his interjection of comedy in there. I always think Michael Bay tries to do that. Maybe he did a little bit better back in the day, but I felt like he always tried to make people laugh at the same time, throw little kitschy jokes in his movies, but his visual flair is really what he's known for.
And evident too with all the cutting. But I mean, if he went from Milk to Bad Boys, he probably walked to the producers and said, "Look, you saw what I did with like a pasty ass, weird looking white guy in Milk, the whitest drink. You give me two brothers in Will Smith and Martin Lawrence and $100 million budget. I'm bringing you checks. Gimme." And
he did. And yeah, I mean, several Bad Boys movies later, he's still standing making them. So.
And didn't this commercial do, if this is 93, I have like memories of it being like 97, 98, and like this commercial still being on. Like they just milked, no pun intended, they milked the hell out of this one. They just, I mean, and it's good enough to like, it's a good commercial. Like it's a good commercial.
It hits all the boxes, really. It's just like perfect. And yeah, so that was a big blowout for Michael Bay. And yeah, again, if you didn't know it, now you do. Next up is a Budweiser commercial. It was actually known as Budweiser Classic Series commercials. These came out in 93. And talk about another famous director who ended up becoming massive in the 90s. This is actually touched by none other than David Fincher. So the man behind Seven and Fight Club, which were his really, really big films in the 90s. Apparently, Fincher was a pretty prolific commercial director up until he got his break on a feature. And when you watch this, I mean, obviously, Morgan Freeman and Brad Pitt aren't running in and, stealing scene time, but you can kind of see, I guess, kind of some of his allure in here. He's kind of got this smoky atmosphere. So yeah, when you watch it, it just kind of it's really a nothing commercial, but yeah, this was all touched by none other than David Fincher.
Television. Hogan's Heroes.
Green Acres.
Arnold's who played him? Nobody. He was the pig. Remember Family Affair?
Mr. French.
I loved him.
He
was attractive.
Pete, Blink, Jude. Okay, Ginger or Mary Ann?
Ginger was a bimbo.
Mary Ann. Mary Ann or Jeannie?
Beechwood aged Budweiser.
Jeannie.
Crisp, clean, classic.
Like the look at like the competence is all there, but I wouldn't if you gave me 100 tries, I don't know if I would come up with David Fincher.
No,
I don't know if I come up with David Fincher.
There's no like signature like his dialogue or like even I would say like the way he cuts it or whatever. But I think I think that wide shot. If I were to lay that next to any kind of establishing Fincher shot, it's got
lighting,
smoky, kind of dim. He's always shooting these real contrasty, sometimes dark scenes. So, sure. I mean, I had no idea. I knew he dabbled in commercials, but I didn't realize he had gotten in with like, with the likes of Budweiser. But it says that he notched a minimum of 11 ads that he put out that year, 93. Which is funny because I stand corrected. Actually, a producer telling me, so he did this after he directed Alien 3 in 1992. So I forgot Fincher did Alien 3, which was considered a commercial flop. Yeah. And I guess just went back in, licked his wounds, did commercials. And then obviously after Alien 3 came out with doing something like 7, so completely rebounded himself, but had a pretty big failure in the feature world and went back into commercials to kind of muscle up.
I wonder what was on his like shot dream list for this commercial that he didn't get. And the producer's like, "We're losing daylight, David. We gotta go." And he's like, "Oh fuck! I fucked up Aliens, and now I can't get my dream shots on the Ginger and Mary Ann Budweiser commercial." But yeah, I mean, they competent definitely, but I don't like. I think you're. This is the closest I would be able to guess. Like you said, this establishing shot.
Yeah, pretty much. David Fincher taking his swing at commercials. Rounding off the bet you didn't know who directed these commercials. Let's keep it in the director wheelhouse. Let's take a look at a series of commercials, none other than everybody's favorite wonderful madman. David Lynch directed for Twin Peaks.
I have seen
Georgia Coffee. Let's watch how insane these are.
It's only in Japan.
Correct. These are all Japanese spots.
Oh yeah, it's just gonna be weird as fuck.
Before Asami disappeared, she sent me this postcard from Great Northern. When they searched her room, all they found was this picture and this deer head.
Let's think about this over a coffee. No, Lucy?
Nice hot. Oh.
Incredible. You two have got to try this. It's rich. Man, oh man, this Georgia is damn fine coffee.
It's true. What about this deer
Oh, the
head?
log lady.
Notice the symbol, Ken. I think you and I should take a drive. Big Ed's Gas Farm.
Georgia. Japanese Lorna Palmer.
It's incredible, and it speaks so true to David Lynch. But you know, again, I was shocked that he would venture into that. Somebody must have showed him a nice handful of money. But obviously, he's reprising all these characters. Dale Cooper's in there. I mean, he's bringing all the people from Twin Peaks into this freaking foreign coffee commercial.
Yeah, the actor's name's like Kyle MacLachlan. I can't always pronounce his name, but that conversation was something like, "Listen, Kyle, they won't let me do this unless I have you, and we can just make eat some sushi, have a bunch of it'll be fine. Well, everything's worked out." Just wacky ass David Lynch doing freaking coffee commercials in Japan. Japan only's killer too. He's like, they're not. I won't have them air in the United States. Only
absolutely. Yeah, paid him a big chunk of money to make some really, really weird Japanese coffee commercials. So that rounds it off. You had Michael Bay, David Fincher, and David Lynch all making commercials in '93. Next up is the How Could We Forget These commercials? These are more just like iconic commercials that came out in '93. And these are ones that I'm sure, again, if you were a kid and your butt was sat down watching TV cartoons at any point in time, you have seen these. I hadn't seen some of them in a while. A lot of stuff doesn't really hold up. These are okay. But this one I definitely remember. Here's the 1993 the Coca-Cola Polar Bear debut of the Polar Bears in Northern Lights.
Oh. Yeah, these are always cute. Yeah. Look at it all once it nuzzle up. No.
There they are.
Getting high on the Northern Lights.
Let's all pop some freaking Cokes and get crunked. Oh, yeah.
No, look how cute it is.
I gotta say, for back in '93, the sheer amount of just like CG in here was probably expensive. So that Coke, spending that Coke cash to get those polar bears. But God, they went on. It says AI producer saying here, they went on to do a run of 27 different commercials with the polar bears since its inception.
Especially once I remember they brought in the Cubs. Remember, like the two polar bear. That was like a whole other run of like, oh shit! How did we not think about having little bears? We gotta make a whole new run of commercials with the little bears. But to be fair,
yeah,
it's very
exactly.
Cute. It's a cute.
They were just like cha-ching. It's a cute polar bear. It can be a stuffed animal, and I want to say they're like almost like the Budweiser Clydesdale horses. They're always in the wheelhouse if they got to pull them out. But they became very famous in '93, and they just were everywhere. And then the Christmas, like all the Christmas stuff and the bears, they went fucking crazy.
I wish I worked on the CGI commercial for the Bears, like as a goof, make one for like just like tearing apart a seal, be like just like a whole 30-second commercial, just show it to the Coca-Cola execs.
Yeah.
We've lost control of the Coca-Cola
trapped
bear.
on a shrinking iceberg.
Yeah, we can't control him.
Let's get
He's
topical.
bloodthirsty. He's not saying it to the Coke.
You can see his ribs. Next up on the How Could We Forget These commercials? This was another one. I remember this one pretty vividly as a kid, and it would come on a lot. Is deemly called The Showdown, and it's a classic McDonald's commercial where Bird versus Jordan and McDonald's. It's a potent mix. Let's take a look. You know you've seen this.
Mm-hmm.
What's in the bag? Lunch. Big Mac, fries. Play for it. You and me for my Big Mac. First one to miss watches the winner eat.
Poor wooden Larry.
I'll be honest, this was not that very authentic because Larry Bird would have been shit talking way more than right now. He would have had some colorful language.
Larry Legend.
Get in there.
Get in there.
Man, for some fries, man.
Nothing but net. I think we're going to be here a while. I suggest you go get a Big Mac.
Oh, keep you hanging. It was a
This
series.
is for your Big Mac, right? First one that misses, watches the winner eat lunch. Got it.
And what's with Michael Jordan's sweater there? What a
Let's get it up.
choice. It's really crazy.
Off the glass. Nice shot.
Lefty.
One knee. Rich knee. Get in there.
they reused that a bunch. Get in there.
Off the floor, off the scoreboard, off the bank board, no rim.
And then it just gets more and more outrageous.
Over the second rafter, off the floor, nothing but net. Through the window, off the wall, nothing but net.
What you want is what you get, and McDonald's today.
What a time to be alive.
I think I remember. Well, I don't remember. I think it was too young, but I think this is also a kind of like passing of the torch from the Converse commercials between Bird and Magic. Because those were like there was a big like it's like Magic shows up at Larry Bird's like house in Indiana. That's like what the whole theme of the commercial was. And then I think the reason why they couldn't do it was because of the AIDS that Magic Johnson had. The McDonald's said, well, actually Larry said, no, I don't want to have a hamburger with AIDS on it. So that he said he said you can't cook AIDS
Larry.
on a hamburger.
Oh my God. Okay.
Kidding, of course. They were very good friends. They still remain very good friends.
They're tight.
It was right there on the table. I had to take it.
Yeah, dude. All right, moving on. This one I remember only because of how it sounds, and the only reason it sounds the way it sounds is because it definitely took a massive track from the 90s and slapped it onto its branding. I guess I can't say that the product itself has lived as long as the song, but yeah, I mean, if you were alive in 93, you either had the joy of sampling Crystal Pepsi or you saw this badass commercial spot.
Oh, yes, I did. I forgot this is the song they used.
Like, what is happening here? Look at that.
Oh man!
Wow!
All that Sammy Hagar asked was a lifetime supply of Pepsi, the crystal variety.
Oh, what an explosion!
Oh yeah!
Drink it. All these like weird little like
it's like the music video.
Shit. It is.
This was like the music video for the song, but they just made it for the commercial. Oh man! Oh,
wow!
God.
And they even went to have a diet Crystal Pepsi too. Like the original that didn't taste like the rip-off Sprite. But
that song must have worked. That commercial must have worked. We weren't like a very big soda household, but I definitely remember Crystal Pepsi being in the house. And I have Van Halen I have Hagar Van Halen to blame.
It says here, AI producer Eddie Van Halen said that he agreed to license the song to PepsiCo because he knew that if he didn't, the company would hire a terrible studio musician to record a cover.
Hey, get paid, Eddie. Get paid.
It did say, though, however, the band ended up receiving significant backlash as a result of that decision. You're right. They probably got like a lifetime supply of, like, somewhere in David Lee Roth's storage unit, there's a shit ton of Crystal Pepsi. That's all flat and tastes exactly how it did when it first came out.
Right now, we're discontinuing Crystal Pepsi.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. That never worked. To round off our commercials here on the how could we forget these commercials, this next one is, more or less, these were series of commercials that were hugely popular around the time. And again, they still continue. I believe this is still like the mascot and still kind of the brand and the slogan they use. But we would be, silly not to mention the Energizer Bunny.
Oh, yeah.
Here's
Still going. Nothing outlasts the Energizer battery. It keeps
Gentlemen,
Rip
this
Torn.
big fuzzy bunny is killing us.
The future of Supervolt batteries looks bleak. And the latest attempt to develop...
So obviously, I think this is in 93. They're going kind of big budget on this, bringing in some big celebs to play. But they had all these different wild plot lines and stories with the Energizer Bunny. Like, I don't even know what the hell is going on here.
Yeah, they have
To
mutant
survive, we
rabbit.
need to neutralize the Energizer Bunny.
But how?
His battery. If we get his battery, no more Energizer Bunny.
Poison it.
And I'm in the process of finding individuals who can, how shall I say, assist us.
It's Christopher Lloyd.
What is going on here?
Say goodbye, Mr. Energizer Bunny.
That's the guy with like a laser fade.
He's famous too. He's like a German actor. I've seen him in things. He played a bad guy in a lot of things, obviously, but
It looks like German Lithgow.
kind of, yeah. But again, just there's a whole fucking series that they created. I mean, here he is fighting the Energizer Bunny. This is intense.
Still going. Nothing outlasts the Energizer battery. It keeps going and going.
Just an absolutely brilliant campaign, obviously, that has been around forever. But dude, I mean, it's pretty incredible that they created that, and it has had such longevity. Maybe not like their actual batteries, but Energizer Bunny is just he's synonymous with the brand. I can just always think of all the different real quick little commercials they would make with them. It's hilarious.
And for being again, like we said, this is in the time before the internet.
Yeah.
So when you had like something that worked, I mean, what did we have? The birds, the Larry and Bird, that's a series. The Crystal Pepsi, that was just a whole damn ass long video. Budweiser, yeah. In either case, the Got Milk ads, there was a whole bunch of those. The Energizer Bunny. So if you had something, you just freaking latched onto it and made another one and another one and another one.
Literally, they keep going and going and going, and they never fucking stop. But yeah, I mean, so I think that pretty much wraps it up for our advertising section. That is basically everything when it comes to what we could talk about in 93 when it came to commercials, what was hot, what was not. We saw that some famous directors made some commercials.
And I was going to say, like, not all bad
ones.
Not all bad. I mean, there's definitely some stinkers, but I mean, again, for the time of what that is, there's some. I mean, that Got Milk commercial still holds up. Michael Bay. I mean, your movies. I mean, Transformers 8 might not be shit. That commercial is probably better than whatever the next Transformer is going to be.
Dude, I totally.
I
agree.
believe it is time for an entertaining segment.
Ooh.
Oh, hey, AI
producer.
Okay, telling us that we got to pipe in a segment here. Let's do that. Let's do a segment that will pertain, obviously, to what we just talked about, commercials. And I think it's the perfect time to debut yet another brand new segment here on Anachronology. This one we like to call Mascot Memoirs. What is Mascot Memoirs? It is a deeper look at the nostalgic brands and their memorable ambassadors throughout the years. Each section we will pick a mascot or mascots to talk about. And this one's interesting. This one I think has, I guess, kind of, it can be a little bit near and dear to our hearts because I think we've all obviously seen these mascots. They've been a part of our lives. And this is a discussion about the Keebler Elves. The cookie doesn't fall far from the tree on the Keebler Elves. Keebler Elves, come on. You know the Keebler Elves. They're the little cookie guys. They're making the cookies in the tree. And they've been just kind of thrown all over everything that is Keebler since the beginning of frickin' time. I mean, look at this shit. Here's some old black and white pictures. Some guy, curmudgeon-y old man pointing at him. It says, created in 1968, the animated Keebler Elves, led by Ernest J. or Ernie Keebler, who I believe is pictured right here, rank among the best-known characters from the commercials. Now, Ernie is the head elf and the friendliest of the bunch, touted to be friendliest of the bunch. The elves have appeared in countless television advertisements throughout the years, shown baking their unique products. They are busy little elves because Keebler has a shit ton of products, and I know that they have plastered the Keebler Elves on basically everything. You name it, there was a Keebler elf just hawking it on some commercial, more or less.
So the cookie doesn't fall far from the tree. That's not a bad tagline. I just don't happen to remember it from being a kid. But this being such a well-known mascot, and they're like tiny, like they're little tiny elves who live in a tree. So I don't remember like elves like in whatchamacallit, like the Lord of the Rings elves, which is probably the only thing that existed to reference elves. But when this came up, they're like gorgeous, like 6 foot tall, like gorgeous beings who do live in trees, but they're not little tiny like little Smurf ripoff guys.
Yeah, they're not like leprechaun. That's what these were. They were just like leprechaun-sized elves that made cookies. Here, we'll give a little bit of a jog to everybody's memory. Here's some actual commercials that came out in '93 with the Keebler elves. You can just see how different they play on the different brands. Here's one.
Say when, Ernie. Keep putting more big, soft chocolate chips into our Chips Deluxe cookies. Right, just say when. We'll have big, soft chips till you say when, Ernie. Ernie?
Keebler Chips Deluxe cookies have lots and lots of big, soft chocolate chips.
Ernie!
Oh, Ernie.
Wow! When?
Keebler Chips Deluxe with
Working
lots
hard,
of big, soft
making the
chocolate chips.
And then there's
for a crispier cookie, now try Chips Deluxe Bakery Crisp.
Oh, shit. Here's the next one. This is Weedables, apparently, also.
Clint Black.
I mean, they were stepping it up. They got Clint Black for this commercial.
Down here, Ernie Keebler.
And apparently he knows Ernie Keebler. I guess Ernie Keebler owes Clint Black some money.
Yes, sir. We heard how much you liked our Weedables, so I brought you a box.
Oh, my God. Run, you dumb little elf. Oh, Clint Black. Saving the day.
Yeah. The Weedables.
The Weedables.
Some crackers.
Whoa.
That's racist.
That was a really strange delivery of that line.
Well, still hatred in that, Clint.
Some crackers. And then we get kind of like the younger, like rock and roll hardcore Keebler Elf spot.
Oh, no. 90s it up. Oh, no.
What? Don't remember these.
What the
CC Ricers.
Yeah, why does it need CC in front of it? I hate this elf. Oh, Ernie.
That's so
From
lame.
Crispy
Crispy Crunchy. They just had to call them CC Ricers.
No.
I mean,
No,
that wasn't necessary.
They should have called them KKKs, Crispy Crunchy Ricers. I would have bought the hell out of those. They would have been still selling them if they called them the KKKs.
Yeah, the big sales in the
Georgia,
Bible Belt. They were flying off the shelves. But it gives you a little bit of a flavor for what kind of how they toted the Keebler elves back in that time. Let's take a little bit of a deep dive into the elves themselves that we don't know much about. Now, we know that obviously they ran a pretty low-key operation, I would call it, in a tree, which also doubled as their factory, which seems a little sketchy, called the Hollow Tree Factory, as pictured here. Well, obviously, there's a giant hollow fucking tree with the Keebler sign on it. Now, when it comes to the elves, there were a lot of Keebler elves. AI producer dug pretty deep here, and it's quite a roster of elves here. So here's a couple of them, and these are actually, again, talking about marketing, they sold a bunch of stickers. We got Ernie, who we've seen up there. We got a guy named Fast Eddie. We can see Fast Eddie up there. He looks, now it says here, Fast Eddie was the product wrapper. That was his job. Fast Eddie was wrapping the products, hopefully fast, by his moniker.
He looks like he's skimming some product off the top. Look how blown out his eyes are. He's got sugar.
He looks weird. We have Zoot. Apparently Zoot and JJ are kind of just like the young rascal elves. I don't really know what they do. Possibly cause trouble. That was probably them on the guitars, being little shithead elves. We have Leonardo, obviously the cookie artist. Look at him with his fucking weird French beret on. Cookie artist Leonardo. There's an elf affectionately named Buckets. We can see Buckets looks a little drunk over there on the far right, and he was the factory fudger. all fudging was all in the wheelhouse of buckets. No one else was fudging. It was all buckets. We have Doc. I mean, it's pretty simple. He had possibly a PhD in cookie making, or would help if an elf hurt themselves at the factory. And he was also a prolific cookie maker. See him there, Doc. Ma Keebler, there she is, the matriarch of the elf cookiedom. There she is, looking good, Ma. Here's some better pictures of the elves. We got Ma, and I do think that is, I want to say that's possibly Fast Eddie. Another shot of Fast Eddie, Ma and Fast Eddie.
They just a little updated Fast Eddie, like a little more modern Fast Eddie.
Something.
Dude, the R&D that went into like not only having them look different, but then they all have their own names and designations. Like you can't. Like you can't, when you're making the Keebler Elf commercial, you can't screw up. Like Fast Eddie has to be rapping. Buckets has to be fudging. You can't have Fast Eddie fudging and Buckets rapping. Are you out of your fucking mind?
No, you can't. Okay, that's definitely Fast Eddie. And there's Doc. There's Doc doing his fucking thing. But you're right. There's probably a goddamn like a Keebler Elves Bible, or as I like to call it, the Keebler verse. I think is really what we're taking a big look into, as inside the Keebler verse. Like, what is really going on here? Moving on. Ooh. Okay, so here's some creepy. Obviously, why not make stuffed animals? Now they have even more Keeblers. We have Zach Keebler, we have Flo Keebler, Roger Keebler, and Sam Keebler. Now it looks like I can kind of read. It says Zach is the fudge shop foreman, the colored, a black Keebler elf. He's really laying it down. Flo Keebler is apparently the tree's accountant. Every place needs an accountant, so she's crushing the books, maybe fixing the books. I don't know about Flo. Roger, I guess, what an idiot. His only accolade is he's the tallest elf. What a moron.
It comes in handy when reaching things on shelves. You guys live in a giant fucking tree. What are you talking about?
Thanks, Roger. Sam Keebler. So he's like the newbie, always wears a smile, and he really gets things cooking. So we hope he stays a while. And then there's another picture of the gang all together doing their fucking Keebler shit. So we looked into it. AI producer, we looked into it, and I guess there was talk about sweeping some things under the carpet in the Keebler world.
Uh-oh.
Well, apparently there were some other elves that they didn't want to tell you about. Find them. They exist. Again, probably not promoted as much as Keebler would have wanted them to be promoted, but we found them. So we're going to lay them out for you here today exclusively on Anachronology. First up. First up is Crackerjack, a Keebler elf struggling with drug addiction. I mean, it's obvious. Look at this guy. He looks fucked up. He looks like he's got bags under his eyes, sores on his mouth. Probably not a reliable cookie maker. He looks messed up.
Ernie can't kick him out of the tree because you don't turn your back on family, no matter how far they've fallen. I mean, he's got cold sores from hitting the cookie pipe. he's got his priorities all twisted around. He's throwing up the peace sign when they're at war with the big cookie lobby. I mean,
always asks to empty his pockets to see if he's smuggling any chocolate chips out when he leaves for work. Yeah, he was a mess. Crackerjack, obviously, they dusted him under the carpet. He was a piece of shit. They didn't want to talk a lot about him. Next up, there was Simone. She wasn't on Keebler payroll, but frequented the Hollow Tree Factory often in the evenings. So I think you can put it together. The kind of operation Mr. Keebler was running here. She looks like she is down to have a good time, alleviate some stress from some of the Keebler workers.
When Buckets was done doing the fudging at the cookie factory, he was fudging after hours.
Yeah. Let's just say the cookies weren't the only thing getting fudging at the cookie factory. So yeah, there was Simone. Next up, I felt this was from a sheer universe building perspective. Maybe the writers were tired. They just called this guy Fatty. And I mean, you can see where he gets his name. Apparently he ended up eating a lot of the product, ended up getting fired, and was so fat that he just had to wheel himself around the Hollow Tree Factory in a wheelchair.
He's got some body positivity though. He doesn't look too upset about it. Like if anything, he looks a little mentally slow. But
I think so.
but the
Maybe.
smile, I mean, he's having a blast, even though he's too large to power himself under his own leg power. He has to get.
Yeah, he looks like he was a handful, and they had to deal with him. They probably just gave him some odd jobs to do or whatever.
Even his ears are like fat. Like they even like put fat in his ears.
And honestly, you're not going to sell many fatty, Keebler elf stuffed animals. It's not that lovable. And then finally, this last one, probably I would think this one really saved the worst for last. The most notorious of the Keebler elves. He was actually a former head of operations at the Hollow Tree Factory. Years later, it came out that this guy had numerous, and when I say numerous, I mean it, numerous workplace sexual harassment charges brought against him at Hollow Tree Company. And that is, he was actually just called Harvey. And there he is. And he looks horrible and disgusting. He's not even wearing a shirt. He looks horrible and disgusting. I'm surprised they even employed him. But there he is. That's Harvey Keebler. He's so gross.
I want like a live action Keebler commercial, and I want Harvey in it. I want Harvey to be fearing the wrath of Ernie.
I mean, maybe there was a time when this was in the works. This was in the Keebler wheelhouse, and then obviously too many people started coming forward. He got Me Too'd fast.
I wish the only thing the worst thing they kept with with just some more neck gristle. I wish he had some more like cheese grady neck to really sell how much of a
he's got like sauce and shit on his big belly. He's scooping up some flapjacks. I mean, I think all Harvey was doing in the Hollow Tree was eating and saying inappropriate things to some of the male and female workers there.
He even looks like he got caught doing something he shouldn't have done.
He doesn't
look on his face. He does. He knows. He's like, I'm sorry.
Yep.
I'm sorry, Ern.
You've been caught. Well, that was our very first mascot memoirs here at Anachronology. Hope you enjoyed that segment, learning a little bit about your favorite mascots. And that was the Keebler elves. Next time you eat a cookie, you're never going to think the same way.
Oh man,
I guarantee you that.
Good. I can see why they kind of had let some of those elves leave the Keebler factory, but I didn't know any of the breadth of. I knew the little redhead Ernie guy. I didn't know his name was Ernie, but dude, that was like almost 2 dozen fucking Keebler elves with like
amazing
Keeblerverse, the Keeblerverse.
That's right, and you learned it here on Anachronology. So that's it for our second category. Let's take a break. Come back to our final third category here in 1993. We'll be right back.
After this motherfucking messages, we'll be right back.
Introducing the Tickle Pickle. It's not just any pickle, it's the cutest, most ticklish pickle you'll ever meet. With its squishy texture and irresistible charm, the Tickle Pickle is here to bring joy to your life and tickles to your fingertips. Perfect for pranking friends, cheering up loved ones, or just adding a little pickle pizzazz to your day. Stick the pickle in Granny's face. Give your sister a pickle slap. Poke the teacher with your pickle when he's not looking. Surprise your dog with a secret pickle attack. So why wait? Get your hands on the Tickle Pickle today and start spreading smiles one tickle at a time. The Tickle Pickle, because who says pickles can't be fun?
Hello, Anachronology viewers. I am here to remind you that you can view or listen to our program on any of the available social media platforms. You have a multitude of choices to enjoy our weekly adventures throughout the space-time continuum. We thank you for your continued support and look forward to providing you with incredible content and amazing nostalgic feels. Now back to your regular scheduled year. Goodbye. You are watching Anachronology.
Well, hey, welcome back. I hope you enjoyed that message from the Tickle Pickle, which I love pickles and tickling. So I'm going to be using our promo code for Tickle Pickle to get 10% off on my first pickle.
It's incredible. I'll be getting it for all of my cousins' kids and younger friends' kids this holiday season. Seems fantastic. Also, I've just been, for some reason, I just keep thinking, man, I really want some CC Ricers. I really wish I had them and I could eat them right now. I just like, that sounded so good on our expose into the Keebler elves. On category 2, which was advertising, welcome back. We're still in 1993, and we're going to round everything off with our third category, a category we very much like to talk about because it's kind of in our wheelhouse, and that is movies.
I mean, it's
Let's
cinema.
talk about cinema. Let's talk about 1993 in film. There were good ones, there were meh ones, and there were ones. Like any year, there's always going to be that. So we'll kind of break it down that way. And obviously, rolling right into it, we're going to start with the best. We're going to start with our cream of the crop films of 1993.
I know one off the top of my head. I know is going to be out here. It has to be,
and I'm sure you're correct, my friend.
It's got to be.
So let's roll right into it.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Obviously, it has to be. This has to be the best film, in my opinion, that came out in 1993. 1993 brought us Jurassic Park. Obviously, this was such a massively big film when it came out in 1993, and I think even today, it still holds a lot of water in the industry. They've made so many different offshoots of it. They've revived the trilogy. But the first one is still the best in my honest opinion. It's just a really great film all around.
The obviously the story about Sam Winston and the puppeteers, and then the computer graphics, and when they saw the model of the Veloc, or the compies, or whatever, the things running or whatever, and they said, "Oh man, I think we're out of a job." And I said, "Don't you mean extinct?" And so very tongue-in-cheek, but this movie, the mixing of practical effects and CG, the CG, I haven't seen any of the new ones, the Chris Pratt, hold your hand out ones, but seeing the CG in those where it looks so obviously computer generated for 1993, this movie still holds up.
Yeah,
the CG still holds up. It looks so good.
It really does. It really does. And it was such an experiment for the time. And obviously it's wild. Like, Air Producer pulling up some great facts on it. So basically when this came out, apparently Universal Pictures, along with Steven Spielberg, acquired the rights for $1.5 million even before it was published. So they got like a pre-read on it in 1990. So you talk about just like, yeah, give me that money. They were just like, they must have got a peek at what Crichton was writing, and and you talk about the deal makers and the creatives that thought, who would be freaking awesome to do this? Steven Spielberg. So you talk about the marriage of those things. Then they still bring on Crichton. I think it says here, paid him an additional $500,000 to adapt the novel to the screen. So you get the author to come on and also kind of punch up the script. You get Spielberg attached to it. And then, like you said, there's this incredible kind of coming together of this groundbreaking computer generated imagery that starts happening with ILM. And then there is that famous story of poor Phil Tippett. He made he's incredible in his own regards. He's done some incredible claymation stuff, but there's like the early images of like the claymation, this scene right here, and it's the T-Rex and he's kind of moving around. And then you put that next to like what they actually made at ILM, and you're like, there's no other way. You just couldn't have done this movie without that caveat in technology and special effects. It was a perfect marriage.
And also in this scene, one of the things you wouldn't get with a CG only dinosaur, the scene where the kids are in the track car and the head of the Tyrannosaurus Rex busts through the glass. That wasn't supposed to happen. Like the puppet arm slipped or something. So when the glass breaks, that really is like the weight of that giant puppet dinosaur. So without at least having some practical effects in this movie, we wouldn't have put children in danger. So I am all for, at least as much as CG looks good, anything where you can get someone in trouble for maiming children. I'm all for that.
But it is an incredible film. Went on to gross upwards of $53 million. And in that time, in 1993, that pretty much put it in the number one spot. That is an epic payday, especially when you were just like, we'll shell out the $1.5 million for the rights of this bad boy.
Yeah, first weekend making recouping like 50 times what you paid for it on the first weekend. Not too bad, Steven. Not too bad.
Yeah, not too bad. So there you go. The most exalted film of 1993.
Yeah, it has to be. It has to be.
Has to be. Moving on. Cliffhanger came out in 1993. Directed and co-produced by Rennie Harlan, who was a pretty
90s
well-known action director at the time. I think really before that, I want to say Die Hard 2 was Rennie Harlan. I think he did the second Die Hard, which in its own regard has its kind of moments and whatever, but he was a fairly good action director. And then you pair it with Sly Stallone. Now you're
did Rennie do Last Boy Scout with Bruce Willis in David Wayne's? I can't remember if Rennie Harlan. It would make sense if he did. But Cliffhanger. So John Lithgow, I think I mentioned John Lithgow earlier in the show. Bad guy, John Lithgow. I think I remember hearing something that the bad guy was supposed to be like the lieutenant bad guy, and the main bad guy was supposed to be Christopher Walken. And then Christopher Walken, just for whatever reason, didn't want, like, last second he pulled out a cliffhanger. Yeah, so Rennie Harlan called up, or was meeting with John Lithgow, and he's like, "All right, you got to carry the bad guy movie now." So without Christopher Walken walking away from Cliffhanger, we would have no Lithgow as the bad guy, and Stallone's best friend in the movie, the underappreciated, well, maybe not so much anymore since he's been in Guardians of the Galaxy and Walking Dead, but Michael Rooker. Dude, Michael
Rooker, dude. Yeah, he's great. He's really good in it. And again, it's a very much just it is very much Die Hard on a mountain, for the most part. But it's awesome. Like, it's awesome action sequences, very violent for the time, and kitschy and just quotable.
The beginning where they have to go, the beginning of the movie where the woman on the carabiner breaks and Michael Rooker's like, "Don't you let her go, Cole." He's all freaking out because he can't get his Yeah, dude.
And it did make for probably one of the most nail biting scenes of that time was that high wire act. But yeah, it says here it earned 255 million worldwide, becoming seventh highest grossing film of 93. So not too bad. Sly Stallone hanging on there in Cliffhanger.
That is, to me, this is like a video store rental. You know what I mean? But dude, to make seventh for box office, pretty damn good for yourself, Cliffhanger.
Yeah, pretty good. Next up, I definitely really love this film is Tombstone. I think Tombstone is just a solid, it's not even just a solid Western, it's a solid film with great performances. You talk about power of the ensemble cast. I mean, you got Kurt Russell, Val Kilmer, Sam Elliott, Bill Paxton, Powers Booth, Michael Biehn. I mean, dude, it's stacked. It is stacked.
The argument of who should be nominated, win an Oscar or whatever, I think, as much as I don't really give a shit about all that, the slight of Val Kilmer not being nominated for an Oscar as Doc, he is one of the Incredible. Coolest portrayals of a historical figure. Obviously, it's a movie, yeah, sure, it's all made up, but he is so damn cool for a dude who's dying of tuberculosis and a piece of shit gambler drunk. He is so fucking good in this movie.
He is.
They're
really
all good. I mean, the movie itself, it's good. It's a quality fucking movie.
But you're right. I do think the one person that shines through, even in the test of time, it is Val Kilmer. And the quotable lines and everything. And he just he completely got into the role. Awesome.
Billy Bob Thornton has a bit role in this. His name is Johnny Tyler. But when Kurt Russell shows up and Billy Bob Thornton's character, he's being an asshole dealer, and the line that he said, there's so many quotable lines, but one of my favorite lines that again, because it's not one of the main guys, it's Billy Bob Thornton's character saying, "Jesus Christ, it's like I'm playing cards with my sister's kids or something." But the way he says it, it's got that drawl. He's like, "Jesus Christ, it's like I'm playing cards with my sister's kids or something." It's such a good drawl, and he sounds so pissed off. I always it's one of the ones that always stands out.
Wow.
If just anything's pissing me off, you know what I mean? It's like, Jesus Christ, it's like I'm playing cards with my sister's kids or something. I always hear that.
Amazing. And then how could we not mention this incredible, it's almost like the evolution of the mustache in one picture here. It's every kind of mustache imaginable is here. It's the original Mustache Ride. But Tombstone, you are well.
That should have been the tag. When they re-release it, that should be the tag. 1993's Tombstone, the original
Mustache Ride. If I was like a film critic around that time, that would have been the quote in the trailer of the movie. All right, so yeah, Tombstone earns its place.
All right.
Exactly. Another great film that came out in '93 that I think is also cream of the crop is Dazed and Confused, which is just it's a classic Richard Linklater film. Follows a group of teenagers on the last day of school in Austin in '76, and it's just pitch perfect. It really encapsulates that time period, everything from like the lingo to the costume design. It's a solid flick, and every time I've ever like rewatched it, it always still kind of hits. I'm like, yeah, it's a good movie.
This in this scene, I remember, I think it was my buddy Wes in high school who pointed out, I never caught it before, that Pink's the guy next to Wooderson, next to McConaughey, his belt buckle is a pipe, and in this scene he's taking a rip off the pipe, but he's doing it all like not like incognito, but the way it's played off, it seems so seamless. And I remember he's like he's hitting his pipe and he puts it back on his belt. I'm like, what are you talking about? And I was like, that's so awesome. He's like, his belt buckle is a pipe. That's so cool.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, yeah, like so it's like the gift that keeps on giving.
Yeah. And it was stacked with obviously future talent: Jason London, Ben Affleck, Mila Jovovich, Cole Hauser, Parker Posey, Adam Goldberg, McConaughey,
Zellweger.
Yeah, Rory Coltrane. Like, you just had them all. Like, and I think it was one of those things where, yeah, there was like definitely the main character, but it was like everybody from an ensemble piece. It just worked. And I think it really solidified Richard Linklater as a serious, director. Like, just like, dude, this guy can make stuff,
I remember, I'm not going to throw any names under the bus, but Tom, you and I used to work with a guy who did not like this movie. And I remember both of us were like, how do you not, like, you don't have to love it, but how can you not just like think it's a good, cool movie? And I'll never understand how that guy who did, like, he would, smoke weed and stuff. So it's not like he was a total square, but I just remember being like, how do you not think this is like a cool, good movie? Especially like he was only a couple years younger than us. So it would have played that like he should like it. So it always baffled me that guy didn't dig Dazed and Confused.
Yeah. No, I agree. It's there's some red flags there if you don't like Dazed and Confused. Okay, so that's moving on from cream of the crop. Now, of course, let's talk about honorable mentions. 1993 films. First off, the gate is Falling Down. And I do really like Falling Down. I think it's a great combination. You got Joel Schumacher directing. You got Michael Douglas, who gives an absolutely tour de force performance. You got Robert Duvall in the mix. I think Barbara Hershey is the wife character. And it's funny. And when I was thinking about this film, I remember it's like, this was kind of what I could remember in 93 being one of the first films where you're really kind of like rooting for the anti-hero. You're just like, there's something about him. And it's also that interesting concoction of like, where a movie where the guy starts out as the good guy and eventually evolves into the bad guy, but obviously it's all societal and there's reasons and pressures that make him the way he is. But I'll say this, that before there was Walter White, there was Michael Douglas in Breaking Bad, and just kind of encapsulating that, like the quiet, mundane man who turns into this like fucking beast of a villain by the end of the movie.
And it's takes place all in one day. A little bit of a road trip movie, but not really, because it starts off with him in traffic to be able to get to work, and he just wants to make it back to his daughter's house to give her a birthday present.
Yep.
And another movie that has great lines in it when he goes down into whatever, it's like the Army Navy store where he's like trying to buy some gear, and there is this redneck like white supremacist guy, and there is some gentlemen who are a little light in the loafers looking at some boots or something to wear, and the guy behind the counter, he goes, you know what those boots are great for? They're great for stomping queers. And I remember it's like, oh damn, like this movie's going there, like
really going there. Falling down.
They straight up just strip away any type of illusion of pulling punches. And when he has when Michael Douglas has the breakdown in the convenience store over the cost of like a soda and the Twinkies, if you haven't got to watch this movie,
it's great.
Look up Falling Down Convenience Store, and the rant he goes, oh, and buying, oh man, it's so good. The buying a breakfast at the fast food place.
Amazing.
Oh, yeah.
There's all these little like great little scene and vignettes
The
that
golf
are
course. Oh
yeah. Just totally worth it.
Mhm.
Definitely. So right off the bat, that definitely earns a spot in honorable mention.
For sure.
Next up, this is, I guess, a goofy, guilty pledge that came around in that time period. Mrs. Doubtfire. I mean, we got to give Robin Williams
Credit
for
too.
dressing up as a woman. It had, of course, Sally Field, Pierce Brosnan, a pre-Bond, Pierce Brosnan.
One of the Lawrence boys.
Yeah, that's right. The really, whatever the youngest Lawrence might be. Directed by Chris Columbus. It's weird because when you really think about this movie now and like how it holds up, it does take some kind of weird, creepy tones about like the divorced actor dad who like dresses as a woman to see his children. I mean, if you want to flip the script on that, that could also be a horror movie if you didn't know how it really went, you know?
Yeah. Doesn't he changes like has he changed the number for the he's like with Sally Fields like you can't do anything for the house anyway. Can you just do me a favor and like run this ad into the the wanted ads or whatever? And he straight up changes the number to go to his phone. So I mean, like that's illegal. Like he's like tampering.
Yeah, there's some definitely illegal activity that happens in here, but it's like and again, it is one of those films I will say that you come for Robin Williams and drag, but you do stay for the Harvey Firestein because he's in this.
His brother,
and he steals every scene with that crispy, crispy cigarette voice. But the film did really well, grossed $441.3 million on a $25 million budget. So to say that it wasn't a hit, and it did come in as the second highest grossing film of 1993.
And I didn't like so you and I are pretty good about who directed what, who wrote, starred. Dude, Chris Columbus. I completely forgot that Chris Columbus directed Miss Doubtfire. Completely,
I didn't know that.
It's like the movie is early 90s. It's funny, but it has heart. It makes complete sense that Christopher Columbus would direct it. I just completely forgot that.
Yeah, it totally. I didn't know, and then when AI producer brought it up, like you said, it kind of clicked and made sense. Like I feel that I could feel that kind of that happening. Another film that gets an honorable mention, although it being a sad topic of conversation, is Schindler's List. Obviously heavy-handed, directed by Steven Spielberg, shot by the ever incredible Janusz Kaminski. A beautiful looking film, heavy-handed, obviously, in its its subject matter dealing with the Holocaust, but incredible performances. It looks amazing. And I'm always absolutely blown away that Steven Spielberg made this and Jurassic Park in 1993. What in the hell, dude?
Yeah. Overachieve much, Steven. Wow. And dude, it's I mean, he's playing a real person who is a horrible man. Dude, Ray Fiennes as Armin Goeth, dude, he is a psychopath and he's so good. He is so good in it.
Yeah, I mean, you think about it too. I mean, that was a huge exploding role for him. I mean, after that, it was big time Ray Fiennes time. Everybody wanted a piece of him.
Yeah, there's another line that's sticking in my head when I think like Schindler gets caught like kissing a Jewish girl, I think it is, out in public, and he gets arrested, and he calls up Goeth to get him out, and Goeth is like talking to the Gestapo guy to like get Schindler out of jail, and he's spinning the story about how like Jewish women are like they have magical powers, but the way he goes, the Jewish women love him. They love him. And just the way like this weird crazy Nazi guy is trying to like because Oscar was like his meal ticket, like cutting contraband and cutting him in on like black market stuff, and just the way he goes, they love him. Dude, it's so creepy to see this Nazi monster get all fucking like weird like a little school.
Yeah, and he plays it so well. And then obviously the famous little girl in the red jacket scene, which is again heavy-handed but a important film and in the time. Moving on, another kind of just sleeper film but was also really big was What's Eating Gilbert Grape. Amazing performances. Speaking of amazing performances, huge kind of big step out front for Leonardo DiCaprio. I think he got like Oscar noms and Golden Globe noms for this role. I don't know. I think he might have won the Golden Globe. I don't think he won the Oscar. But 19 years old in this. He was great.
And he looks like he's 13. You know, he's playing like he I don't know how old the character Arnie is the character. I'm not how old he's supposed to be, whether he's 19, and the character obviously has mental difficulties, so he would be younger acting, but I don't know if the age of the character himself is at 19. Either way, DiCaprio, phenomenal job. I remember thinking, how did they get this like kid with like this retarded kid to act so good? And it's like, that's just acting. That's what acting is, Clay.
That's good acting. Yeah, and give it to Johnny Depp. You know, before he started getting into his weird Johnny Depp period, he does put on a really good performance as well. I think those are the two guys that really steal the show. And
the mom,
the mom who's like morbidly obese, and it's just one of those. It's such a weird movie that I felt like later on down the road, like that would have been more like an independent movie that would come out. But for it to be this big major movie that came out in the time, it was really different.
Yeah, when the mom shows up to get Arnie out of jail, she's
oh
like,
my
Jerry, I want my boy, Jerry. Dude, it's so
and they just like the way they kind of like filmed to show like her incredible weight and stuff. And it's like in the house, like the boards in the house are bending. So yeah, that was definitely a film that came out that that had a lot of poignant acting and got a lot of good recognition.
He sits in the tub overnight because no one tells him to get out of the tub. That's right. He stays in the tub overnight. He's all shivering in the morning. Oh man, God. Oh Jesus! I haven't seen this movie in forever. Oh man, this is like one of my girlfriend's favorite movies.
Yeah, well, this was also really big in '93. We got The Nightmare Before Christmas. Again, a lot of people love this movie. I feel bad for poor Henry Selick because a lot of people just think that Tim Burton directed this. He did not. He helped create it. But Henry Selick was the director of this stop motion animation. And yeah, I mean, you get all the fixins for this. You get Danny Elfman doing the songs and the score. He does the voice of Jack Skellington.
Yeah.
You get, voice casts of Chris Sarandon, Catherine O'Hara, William Hickey, Ken Page, Paul Rubens. You name it. I mean, it goes deep. And it has been one of those movies that has gotten intertwined into the Christmas kind of, zeitgeist as well. That just always drops around that time every year.
It can pull a little double duty, you know what I mean? It can be like a Halloween movie, but obviously the bulk of it being a Christmas movie. And for the touch, obviously, that Tim Burton put on it, like his aesthetic. I think if it was more not him, still done with puppets or stop motion or whatever, but Tim Burton is so specific. I think if there was a different director, his weird touch makes it like so much more indelible. Like it wouldn't. I don't think it would have like the longevity or the all the different book bags or clothing or costumes if it wasn't Burton's like stink on it, because it is. I mean, even just looking at Jack Skellington right here, cool looking character.
Again, you're right. I mean, real iconic characters that have really lasted the test of time. And yeah, I mean, I think, like you said, there's just people, it's a part of people's childhood that they love. And, I mean, there's every hot topic everywhere has some, Nightmare Before Christmas, something. It's just the merchandising market for it has
the couple's costumes for Jack and what's her name? The sewed up broad, Sally, I think her name is. I mean, it's just maybe whether you were a little kid dressed like that or an adult with your wife. I mean, it transcends ages.
All right, the last film for honorable mentions in 1993, we're going to give it to Groundhog Day.
Oh, man.
And I do think Groundhog Day is a really, it's an underrated comedy. Harold Ramis jam, directed, co-written by Harold Ramis. You got Bill Murray, you got Andy McDowell, you got Chris Elliott. And it's a goofy, weird, but clever comedy that I think is like, you don't find a lot of those anymore. That's just very kind of self-containing. It works. It plays on a particular gimmick really well. And Bill Murray kills it. He does. He really drives this home, I think.
Yeah, don't drive angry. That's just a great line in this scene. Don't drive angry. The guy who plays, what's the actor's name? Stephen Tobolowsky, the guy who plays Needle Nose Ned. That scene where
so
That is one of the best scenes. He's like needle nose Ned the head. He's like, I missed all of senior year. I had the shingles real bad. Like just
awesome.
the rapid fire line of that. I had the shingles real bad.
Yeah, and it's just one of those things, and it's I think it's become a cult classic over the years, and I know it. I haven't seen it in a long time, but I do remember it being very funny.
I was over our buddy Raymond's house. This is one of like his favorite movies. He tries to watch it every year, and so this past Groundhog's Day went over, had a couple cocktails, watched a little Groundhog's Day. I will say for not seeing it, I also probably haven't seen it in like 10 years, something like that. Dude, it holds up spectacularly. Holds up,
love it,
excellent. And you said co-starring Andy McDowell. Oh, I want to marry you in 1993, Andy McDowell.
Yeah,
Dude,
she was fine. Fine. And that's some prime McDowell time. Was
South Carolina got some nice little Southern Belle blood. Woo-hoo.
Okay, so obviously the moment we've all been waiting for, the hot trash films of 1993, for us to end out the movies of 93. First out of the gate is Son of the Pink Panther. This movie should never have been made. The saddest part is it was actually directed by Blake Edwards, the guy who directed the other Pink Panther films.
Damn.
I mean, dude, like there was no reason to do this. And yes, if you're asking, that is Roberto Benigni, the goddamn Oscar winner, Roberto Benigni, Mr. I'll Jump Into Your Ocean, 2-time Academy winner, Roberto Benigni as, I guess, the son of
Inspector Clouseau, who obviously
by the late incredible great
Peter Sellers.
I mean, dude, it's just that was up here, and you've decided you needed to make another Pink Panther movie with Roberto Benigni.
I know that in the OG Pink Panther, who is it? Fucking David Niven, whoever plays the cat burglar. I can't remember whatever, but
I think you're right.
Yeah, he is the he's not necessarily the main character, but it's Peter Sellers, so he's killing it, being funny as hell, and so the role went from being like 10-15 minutes to how much more Peter Sellers can we put into this movie. And I think that was one of Peter Sellers didn't want this to happen. He just wanted a fucking paycheck. He's like, yo, listen, I'm Peter Sellers, you know what you're paying me for. I don't want to work any more than I have to. So I think when he obviously died, and the next best thing you had to go to is Roberto Benigni. That's a tough sell there. That's a real tough sell, Blake.
It's such a tough sell, and obviously a train wreck of a film in 1993. Yeah. Listen, guys, we should all agree right now, no more remaking the Pink Panther.
Yeah.
Guys, guys, I'm serious. No more remaking the Pink Panther. Guys. Stop. Just stop remaking the Pink Panther.
Damn.
No more. And of all fucking people, I am shocked at Steve Martin that he decided that he had to make a Pink Panther movie too. That's another day, another conversation. But anyway, 1993, Son of Pink Panther, starting off hot trash.
Get out of here.
Next hot trash, Meteor Man. The Meteor Man. Sorry. Okay, listen to these credits. Written, directed, co-produced, and starring Robert Townsend. There he is in the foreground. Never saw this movie. I definitely remember it coming out. Even just like the synopsis of this film. Jefferson Reed is a mild-mannered school teacher in Washington, D.C. His neighborhood is terrorized by a local gang called the Golden Lords, led by Simon Kane, and allied with drug lord Anthony Byers. One night, Jeff steps in to rescue a woman from the gang, only to end up running from them himself. Hiding in a garbage dumpster, he manages to escape. As he climbs out, he is struck down by a glowing green meteorite. His spine is crushed, and he receives severe burns.
Oh my God.
And then it gets better. A small fragment of the meteor was left over and taken by a vagrant named Marvin, played by none other than Bill Cosby.
What? Dude.
So there you go. You get, not only do you get the triple threat of Robert Townsend doing all the things in the movie, you get the Bill Cosby, and then apparently also in the film appearances by Luther Vandross, Sinbad, James Earl Jones, Naughty by Nature, and Cypress Hill all appear in this film.
So I am. My mind is blown that Bill Cosby is a vagrant stealing a meteorite.
Look at him.
Playing, I don't know if he's supposed to be the antagonist or just some sort of shows up at the beginning, shows up at the end type of character. So the only thing that I do know, I've also never seen this film. The one thing I do remember is, I was like 10 years old when this came out, so I was still reading like comic books, and the advertisement was in like every comic book I had, and I was remember thinking, I'd be like, man, this movie must be so cool because it's like, in comic books and it's like a space movie. Thank Christ I never saw this movie, or like begged my parents to go take
huge bullet by not seeing Meteor Man. Super fucking terrible. Next up is, this movie is, God, it is just so complicated and weird, and it is hot trash, but it is actually a cult celebrated piece of hot trash. And that is the 1993 Super Mario Brothers movie that came out with Bob Hoskins and John Leguizamo. Here's some sweet, looks like some awesome fan art somebody made that really loved the movie. But this movie, it's insane, and it's so 90s to me. Like I don't think I've seen it in so many years, but all I remember about it is it just felt like somebody got the IP from Nintendo and just was like, let's 90s the fuck out of this thing. And they fucking did. I mean, look at these dudes. Even everything from like the costume design to just like the future that they place it in. Oh yeah. How can we forget Dennis fucking Hopper is Koopa?
Oh yeah.
He is Koopa, and look at his long ass lizard tongue in this shit.
Yeah, isn't the premise there's like it's like the gun that they use it like turns them back to what they were. De-evolver. Thank you, the de-evolver. Yeah. It's like there was nothing in the Mario games at all. That's the de-evolver gun. They just needed to like make something up. Like you said, like they had the IP and they said, screw making any sort of faithful adaptation.
It's just so
it's the
awful.
90s. We're
It's
90s.
so 90s and awful. And then look at the Koopa. Look at the Koopas.
Jesus.
I don't even know what this is. Like, what did you do? Why do they have little tiny heads?
Oh, God.
What the frig are you doing? It's so effing bad. And then the AI producer pulls this up about it, which maybe gives us a little bit more of a glimpse behind the curtain. So apparently, it says here that it says, hold on, where does it say it that I thought was funny? Given free creative license by Nintendo, which believed the Mario brand was strong enough for experimentation. Wrong. The screenwriters envisioned Super Mario Bros. As a submersive comedy influenced by Ghostbusters, The Wizard of Oz. Okay. All of those things, I guess. The setting was inspired by the game Super Mario World with elements drawn from fairy tales and contemporary American culture. Released on May 28th, 1993, Super Mario Brothers was a critical and financial failure, grossing $38.9 million worldwide against a $48 million budget.
When this movie came out, the head of Nintendo said, "This is the worst thing America has done to us since Hiroshima and Nagasaki." Like, this is like the atomic bombs, and then this movie. Like, we were on good terms with them, and then we dropped this stinker right in their lap. They gave Nintendo had faith that the Super Mario brand was strong enough. Nah, take a little trip down to the local Cineplex and sit down and see how well it fares.
Yeah, sorry guys, this one did not fly, and I feel like even to this date, I think John Leguizamo laughs at it, and Bob Hoskins had to die with this on his IMDb, so that's terrible. Poor guy. Okay, moving on. Dave, fucking Dave. Dave is so Ivan Reitman movie starring Kevin Kline, Sigourney Weaver, Frank Langella, Laura Linney, Veen Rames, Charles Grodin, and Ben Kingsley you get in this film. It's just, this movie is just, it's very typical 90s. It has the most ridiculous fucking plot. Here, I'll spoil it for everybody. A guy who looks exactly like the president is called to impersonate the real president, who suffers a heart attack after banging his chief of staff. And then what happens over time is the first lady falls for this creepy man impersonating her shitbag of a husband president. Laughs ensue. End credits.
I can't remember what like the only time I saw this movie was in school, and I can't. It must have been like, I don't know, like it was some government class, which I thought was also
What a
weird.
lazy
Like, this would
government
never happen in real life, so I don't know why. Like you're putting this like, hey,
watching Dave.
hey, students, hey, fellow students, and future leaders of America. Hopefully, here, let me show you a representation of how government works. But yeah, I remember seeing this in school, and at the end, at the end of the movie, spoiler, when this Dave is done being the president, he goes back to like his hometown, and again, like the amount of time from when he gets hired to be the stand-in to actually being the president, and then goes, I think it's like less than a year or something in like movie time. But when he shows back at his hometown, like I remember at the end, they're like, "Hey, Dave, where have you been? We haven't seen you in a couple, months or whatever." It's like he looks exactly like the president, and people like even comment how he looks like the president, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I was just like wherever the hell he was."
Yeah.
But no one puts
Pre-internet.
no one puts two and two together. This guy who looks exactly like the president possibly could have been the president.
Before Fox News, this was possibly real. Dave could have really happened, but this is just a really silly, stupid movie. I could have done without Dave. Next up,
Clint.
In the Line of Fire, directed by Wolfgang Peterson and starring a very, very tired-looking Clint Eastwood. And if I were to say what the theme of In the Line of Fire is it's time to stop doing action movies, Clint Eastwood, because he is gassed in this whole movie, and they got him running. He's doing lots of chasing. He's trying to chase a nimble, honestly, fairly good villain, John Malkovich. I think Booth, the character he plays, is the best part of the whole movie.
When he builds the little like plastic gun. Oh yeah.
That's really cool. So that's cool. And it is Wolfgang Peterson, who's a good director.
Yeah.
But I just think that, dude, this was it for Clint Eastwood, man. I mean, he really should have probably left and retired after this one, but he's still going, and it's just, I want to say his stunt doubles were paid for sure in this film. They were doing a lot of heavy lifting.
Yeah, I think I know there is definitely like a chase scene like before the end showdown. I want to say like Clint he thinks he's going to catch John Malkovich's character, and John Malkovich's character like either jumps across a fire escape or something, and you see Clint Eastwood trying to climb a ladder, and it's like, yo, John Malkovich's character is across the rooftop down. He walked down the stairs, he hailed a cab, he's had lunch at a diner. Like Clint Eastwood's like like trying to climb. It looks like no way in hell.
And I exactly. And I think that like this was also the real start of his like kind of grovelly, cantankerous thing that he gets going on now. It's like you'd have to lean in to hear him talking and stuff. It was like, yeah, man, this was the end. This was definitely the end for Clint Eastwood when it came to being the on-screen action hero. Bye-bye.
Sorry, Clint.
Sorry, buddy. Next up, a film that a lot of people like too, that came out in '93, and I just think it was weird then and even weirder now, is Sleepless in Seattle. Honestly, it's definitely that, the classic rom-com directed by Nora Ephron, starring Tom Hanks and Meg Ryan, as seen pictured here.
I mean, is that I guess like I'm looking at Meg Ryan. I know why does that not look like Meg Ryan to me? Did they just like blow her hair back and kind of airbrush her face some? Like obviously that's Tom Hanks. Like why did they like Meg Ryan?
Yeah, there's a heavy industrial fan on that photo shoot set hitting her hard. Like, yeah, you're right. That hair is blown back. But this film just is like, really what it is it's just kind of like, this answers the question of like, this is like what it was like to date people before you could just like swipe right on people. Basically, it was like the whole thing. You talk about another just like really weird, like ridiculous, far-fetched plot. I mean, really, it's just like a random woman listens to man on radio station talk about dead wife, falls in love with him. They become pen pals. Then they decide one day they're going to meet at the top of the Statue of Liberty on Valentine's Day, and she does. I mean, dude, that's like the plot to a true crime show. I mean, she'd be missing. You don't think she'd be telling that to her coworkers, and they'd be like, I don't know. That don't go meet the strange man you've been writing with at the statue or at the fucking Empire State Building. Are you crazy?
This has got unsolved mysteries written all over it. Like last scene after answering an ad called Sleepless in Seattle, she said she was going to meet a handsome young man at the Empire State Building. That's the last they ever saw. Yeah.
And then you know what the chef's kiss is? He lives on a fucking houseboat. You know, I'm going to go meet the guy who lives on a houseboat at the top of the Statue of Liberty. I mean, who lives on a fucking houseboat? Tom Hanks's, ever so eligible bachelor dad lives on a fucking houseboat.
And Carrie Fisher's character in also from the 90s, Drop Dead Fred. She also lives in a houseboat. Those are like the only two people that I can think of that live in a houseboat, but both movies from the 90s. So that was we should compile compile every character that's lived in a houseboat in the 90s.
Yeah, that's
movies.
right. Greatest houseboat characters of 93. But anyway, yeah, this one just was like, I know like people like it and like they just like it because it's the ultimate rom-com or something. Rom-com. Yeah, whatever. You can have it.
And it's like, and Tom Hanks, man, it's like, I know he's not like the most good looking guy in the world, but I mean, dude, Tom Hanks, man, he's just like showing like how inoffensive he is. Like people buy into, whatever women are watching this, be like, I would fall in love with Tom Hanks. I'm not saying he's a bad looking guy. I'm just saying he's no Brad Pitt looking dude. So the fact that he was, pulling in mad movie mom tail in the 90s, it just shows I'm not saying standards are low, but I mean, hey, you could look like Tom Hanks and still pull a bunch of tail.
Yeah, I mean, come for Tom Hanks, stay for the houseboat. I mean,
right?
that would slide past anybody. All right, let's end out 93 movies. Let's end it out hot trash films with the final entry here, which is it's Free Willy. I'm not shocked. Directed by Simon Windsor, don't know who that is. Film stars Jason James Richter in his film debut. I assume that's the boy.
The little boy.
Lori Petty, no Lori Petty. She was in a few things. August, yes, absolutely. August Schellenberg and Mr. Michael Madsen. Michael Madsen. I mean, this was way pre-Reservoir Dogs as well. So I'm sure Michael Madsen was kicking him back on the set of Free Willy. But yeah, this movie's another one where it's just like, I remember this movie played heavy on its soundtrack. It had that goddamn Michael Jackson song that they played forever, everywhere. It's that, whatever that song is. I don't want to talk about it, but he jumps over the rocks and all that shit. It's all Michael Jackson, all soundtrack shit.
I definitely never saw this movie, but I remember like this iconic, the whale jumping off over the seawall over the little kid. It parodied a whole bunch of times. I only know this from like, this is like a bittersweet, hey kids, do you want to feel bad about the killer whale in Free Willy? The dorsal fin that's like flopped over. Apparently, like Free Willy, the SeaWorld or the killer whale, it's supposed to be like a wild killer whale. That droopy dorsal fin only happens in captivity, so there's like no way that is like, so even like the look of the whale that they got to be like a a free whale, it's like no, that's this damn thing has never seen the real ocean in its entire life. It's lived in a tank its whole life.
Yeah, Keiko was the famous orca that played Willy. Yeah. And you're right. And it's funny because it's like, it's all like the dark undertones behind this too. And I mean, sure, it's like Happy Day. He got, let's free the whale and send it back to be with its family. But it's like, then after that, I mean, then there was like all like terrible shit that came out about SeaWorld. There was like that accident that unveiled just how terrible we treat these fucking things, putting them in tiny tanks, and they develop all these health complications, but Disney loved it. And they were like, great, Michael Jackson's down. He's gonna do the hit single on this bitch. Let's go.
He just dumped a bunch of Keebler Elf cookies into the tank and said, Keiko, go nuts. It's the 90s.
Yeah, pretty much. But I think that's it. That takes us to the end of our adventures in movies in 1993. We had really great cream of the crop. We had honorable mentions, and we had some hot trash films of 1993.
From Schindler's List to Free Willy to Cliffhanger, man. We got to run the gambit.
Wow, we did get to run the gamut. All right, let's take our final break. We will come back and we will wrap up 1993. So hang tight. Go do your business. We'll be right back.
We'll see you after these very short messages. So get your asses back to the chopper.
This break on Anachronology is brought to you by Ventriloquist. Are you tired of searching for love in all the wrong places? Look no further than Ventriloquist, the premier online dating site exclusively for ventriloquists. Discover a community where your unique talents are celebrated and understood. Meet fellow ventriloquists who share your passion for puppetry and romance. With our advanced matching algorithm, find your perfect partner who not only makes your heart flutter, but also your dummies. Say goodbye to awkward first dates and hello to harmonious conversations with Ventriloquist. Sign up today and let your love story be ventriloquist approved.
You are watching Anachronology.
Are watching Anachronology. You have watched Anachronology and you have made it through the year 1993. Congratulations. Well done. I hope you had fun. I know we always do have fun. 1993 was a good year. I think we went through a different kind of swath of categories there. We got to talk about the video games. We got to talk about commercials and advertising. And then we got to round everything off with movies, which we always love to talk about. So that was fun.
I gotta say, if you're a gamer, we'll cover video games. There's some old classic video games. If you like movies, I guarantee you, whether you like a bad, crappy movie, some good historical drama, some action movie, there's a bunch of good stuff to pick from '93. And even just as as much as people don't really want to sit and watch advertising, there's some pretty good commercials that we watch today too. Like just for literally watching a commercial, there's not too bad for 30 seconds of your time. So 1993, I gotta say, for what we were tasked with chronicling here today, my friend, not too bad of a year selection.
Not too bad at all. And thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching. We always appreciate, obviously, the continued support and fans liking things, and it's helping. And we really appreciate it. And we're just going to keep trying to bring you all the goodness, all the new categories, all the new years. We got a lot of more years to go. So
and
hang in there.
Each week, like Tom said, we've got a lot more years. And even if I'm sure at some point in time, we're going to have to do a repeat year, but that doesn't mean we're going to go over the same stuff. We're going to have all new categories, all new segments. And if you want to check those out, just, go ahead. Why don't you guys just give us a little subscribe button? That's for free. If you want to throw us a couple dollars, you can go to our Patreon where you get more content. So if you did enjoy this episode and you feel like you want to get a little more, you can get one or more every week if you want to be at Patreon. If not, good enough for us. If you just watch and enjoy the show, we appreciate the hell out of it. On Anachronology, where it's about damn time.
Well put, Clay. All right, everybody. We'll see you next time. Later.